Tell me when we've gone live. I think we're live now, actually.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Okay. Well, just in case we are live.
We're live.
We're live. Welcome to episode 6 of the IGA podcast. Tonight we're going to be covering Trump versus Biden, the debate. We got the sound off, have you?
Yes.
Tonight I actually have a guest in the room who's normally sat behind the camera orchestrating everything and giving me signs and messages from everybody who comments on the video.
I'm the sign lady.
She is the sign lady. It is Eirian Rowlands, my fiance.
Hi.
We're going to sit here tonight and we've got our snacks. Of which, for a debate of this size, with the amount of shade that's going to be thrown, I think you've got to have the popcorn ready. Got some sweet, got some salty popcorn.
I thought you were going to say sour, then I was going to go, what have you done to it?
No, the sour is going to be the debate itself.
Hello.
So, to begin with, as you can see, we're on Sky News here. They're going to be the ones providing the debate with us tonight, or providing the debate for us tonight. We'll be turning it up a little bit once it actually gets started. It's about, what's it, 1:30 now? So about 30 minutes till the actual debate starts. I've got one or two people who apparently want to come on and express their views of the candidates themselves and who they think might actually win. You can tell this is so well put together because I don't actually know what I'm saying from 1 second to the next.
It's because you got snacks and wine.
All I can see is just food and drink. This is brilliant. I don't know why we don't do this more often. We should just pick any random subject and sit here going, yes, we need snacks and wine.
I'm only here to get fed.
Fair enough. I'm going to see if we can bring in the first caller, actually. While we're waiting to see if they answer to begin with. Who do you think is going to win? On the spot, who's going to win?
Probably Donald Trump, isn't he?
Do you reckon?
Yeah. He's got gift of the gab.
Gift of the gab?
Well, come on. Joe Biden will, like that man said today, probably just hoping that he remembers his name.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this. I really can't wait to see what happens with that. I'll tell you what, I'm going to turn this down, right down actually, because we do have our first caller on the line, which is Walt. Walt, I hope I've said your name correctly there.
You have, Ian. How are you tonight?
We're really good, actually. We're really looking forward to this. This is going to be quite the slinging match.
Yes, it is. I think all of us are feeling the same way.
So straight off the bat, who have you got your money on?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think that both candidates have something that they need to do. I think Joe Biden has to come out and convince people that he is solid mentally, that he has the stamina and the energy to be able to be the president of the United States.
Yeah.
And I think Donald Trump has to come out and separate himself policy-wise from Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It can't be, you're crazy or you're old or you're senile, and it can't be any of that. He's got to come out and show that he's the president of the United States for a reason and that he deserves another 4 years to keep doing what he's doing.
But isn't that what we're all looking forward to? Him just coming out and going, "You're old. You don't know. Do you know where you are right now?"
That's what I'm looking forward to.
That's what I want to see. I want to see him literally just... I know it's horrible. You shouldn't attack old people and you shouldn't kick them down the stairs. But sometimes it is so funny. It is just so funny.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because we have had this conversation. I tend to run in more conservative circles, so I tend to be more on the right. And the conversation that a lot of people have had is they look at the videos, they see apparently Joe Biden deteriorating. And I'm actually hearing that from people I know who are Secret Service people that he's not doing well and he is deteriorating. So you have people who are legitimately standing up and going, he's not the same guy he was 4 years ago.
So did you just say you're hearing that from Secret Service?
I'm hearing that from people. I have a couple of friends who are retired Secret Service agents who are talking to current Secret Service agents, and that's what they're hearing.
Wow. Okay.
So a part of what everybody's saying is, I feel sorry for him. I'm sad that he's having these problems, but he's running to be president of the United States. And we can't unleash a person with these kinds of problems on the country and on the world. And so I think what Biden's got to do, I think he has got to come out and show us that he doesn't need a mental break or a potty break every 30 minutes. That
I did hear apparently he was trying to get a lot of breaks during this.
Yes, that's what I've heard too, and that's been pretty widely reported. I know Fox News had that, and several other people had that today. And are y'all familiar with the Rush Limbaugh show?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen any of it.
Rush is a very conservative talk show host, one of the most popular radio hosts in America. He was talking about that some today too. That the word was that they were trying to get just a ton of breaks every 30 minutes, and we don't know. The speculation on that, how true that is or not. But if it is true, is that because he needs a break mentally? Does he need to go get briefed on the things they're talking about? Does he need, what's going on there? So I think he's really got to come out of the box and show everybody he's strong and full of energy and
I don't know.
Has a lot of vitality.
I think there's probably more hype about his. How do you put it across? Is it cognitive decline or something?
Yes, kind of his mental decline.
Yeah, his capacity at the minute. I think they're highlighting it more maybe than there is something there. Don't get me wrong. There are times I've seen him spectacularly suddenly lose where he is, sort of thing. And his thing with the teleprompter is some of the best TV I've seen in a long time as well.
I haven't seen that.
Have you not seen it?
No.
See, Eirian hasn't seen it, but I've seen it before.
It's
where
terrible.
they show he's not even hiding it. Where they have like the podium in front of him, and he'll have, everyone knows, a lot of people have a teleprompter in front of them. They're reading off it. It's always, a lot of the time it's scripted, and that's fine. We get that. If they don't show it too much or don't make it so it's so obvious, it's fine. But he stood there with his hand to the side of the podium and was literally doing this, like with his hand, like move it up. I have nothing to say. Move it up.
Oh,
It was so funny.
He even said that. Yeah, he said move it up, and
it was shocking. It was so bad.
You know what? If you're a politician and you're cutting corners, nobody's shocked by that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's surprised that a politician can't, keep everything in their brain that they need to with all the stuff that's going across their desk every day.
Yeah.
But he keeps coming across as feeble and not all there. And there's been a lot of talk, too, over the last couple of days. I don't know if y'all have heard this in Europe, but they put a cap on his campaign every day around 9:30 or 10 in the morning, which means no more press. Biden's not going anywhere. He's not going to get on a plane. He's not going to go see coal miners. He's not doing anything like that. There's a cap on it. He's staying home. So
they're limiting the amount he's going to be exposed to then.
Absolutely. And what they said about that was he's preparing for the debate, which totally reasonable, totally makes sense. Then a reporter, I think for CNN, grabbed him and said, "Hey, how much preparation have you done?" And he said, "I haven't started preparation yet."
Oh my God.
So
Busted.
Yeah. And so stuff like that is like...
It'd be better if he just
what
went...
is going on?
It would be better, though, if he just went, what debate?
Right, absolutely.
Oh my God, yes, there's a debate and there's a thing and...
Right. Or if you just said, you know what, I'm not only doing the debate, but I've got these other things coming up and, strategy and, come up with something. I mean, don't throw it out there and say, oh, I haven't even begun to prepare. Because number one, everybody knows that you have to. And number two, all of your people are saying that that's why you got a cap on your campaign at 9:30 every morning. I mean, 9:30 every morning. This isn't 9:30 at night. This is up against, and whatever you think about Trump, Trump is out there. He flew to Atlanta on Friday for a meeting around noon or 1 o'clock, jumped on a flight and flew to Pennsylvania and had a 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock speech there and spoke for 90 minutes.
Oh my God. He doesn't stop though, does he? He's just a machine.
No, he does not stop. He's up until like 1 o'clock every morning. And, say what you want to about his tweets, but at least you know when he's awake.
Right.
He tweets all the time. And so, he could tweet at 6 in the morning and one at 1 the next morning. And he's just been up and going. And the man runs on like Big Macs and Diet Coke.
But the thing is, to be fair, I've seen some of his tweets and I'm not 100% sure he's awake with some of those.
Well, okay, so I said a minute ago that I'm a conservative and that I run on that side. I do have a problem with some of the stuff he tweets out and some of his bombastic personality.
Yeah.
But, from a policy standpoint, and again, kind of going back to what I said earlier, I think Trump has to come out very strong on policy. And foreign policy, domestic policy, I think the tax issue has to be talked about. COVID has to be talked about.
Because he hasn't really cleaned it up, has he? Or cleared it up, the whole tax thing yet, has he? Because he came out yesterday for a bit of a briefing, but he didn't really clear it up.
He didn't, and part of the problem with that, my dad is a retired FBI agent, and I talked to him a little bit.
Oh my God, this guy is connected. Who the hell have we got here?
Well, and so what he said was Trump is actually in the middle of an audit, so he can't release some stuff. But that is typical of someone who's in the type of business that he is, where he's got international holdings and he's got domestic holdings, and he's buying and selling property, and he's running hotels, and that's not unusual for him to be audited. So because of the fact that he's got 2 or 3 years of his taxes under audit, he can't release those, and he can't really talk about. So he's kind of in an unfair disadvantage.
Well, it kind of works in his favour a little bit though, because if they're claiming,
it definitely does.
Yeah, if they're claiming he hasn't been paying tax, or what was it, $750, something like that, he paid 1 year.
Yeah.
If that's the case, and he can just go, well, at the moment I can't show my stuff because I'm having an audit, which is standard practice. There's nothing necessarily out of the ordinary there.
No, and his son actually, Donald Trump Jr. had released something on his Twitter feed, I believe, this afternoon, and it was kind of a statement that said, here's what the company paid in taxes. Here's what, roughly what my dad was paid, and here's what his tax payment on that was. And really, if those numbers are true, then I can see sort of how you get there. I couldn't get mine that low, but I don't have those kind of deductions either. I'm not losing $40 million on property. So.
You also don't have the kind of team around you that he's got. The people that will be working tricks on his books would be phenomenal.
I go to H&R Block and pay $120. He pays full time, $250,000 a year attorneys and CPAs to do his taxes. Yeah,
he'll pay more in lawyer fees than he does in his tax than you pay in your taxes, essentially.
Oh, by far. I mean, I will not make enough in my lifetime to pay his legal bill for a year.
Exactly.
I think, even where I stand as someone who is going to tend to vote, for the Republican.
Oh, are you about to reveal who you would vote for? That's a new one for an American, isn't it?
Well, right now it is. Nobody wants to talk about it.
No, you don't openly say that on the street, do you?
Well, I'm in Georgia, so it's a little different here. They say that we're a toss-up state, but we're a pretty strong red state for the most part, particularly where I live. I'm outside of the city of Atlanta. I'm out in the suburbs. This is the county that I'm in voted 67% for Trump in the last election.
Wow.
So you're out in gun country and Bible country, and so it's a pretty comfortable thing out here. But you drive 20 miles south, and you're taking a chance putting a Trump sign up in your yard.
Yeah. What do you make of this at the minute? So we're looking at the screen now. They had just a moment ago what they're trying to say is the figures in the polls as to who's ahead. And they're saying that Biden is ahead of Trump. Do you hold much light to that, or much weight to it, rather? Do you think that is actually truly reflective of how the nation, whether it's united or not united at the minute, how they feel about it? Do you think that Biden is ahead?
Well, Ian, you're a brave man, because I warned you that I could talk all night. So,
try and keep it as brief as you can.
Y'all understand how the Electoral College works, right?
Vaguely. It's a very different system.
Simplify it as much as I can. There's the popular vote, which means everybody in America, who voted for who. Is it 50%? Is it 45% on this side, 55 on that? That doesn't matter. That is irrelevant as to who the president is. Each state has a number of delegates based on the population of the state.
Mm-hmm.
So the state of Georgia, where I live, again, has 16 electoral votes. Texas has like 45. California has like 65.
Yeah,
so,
it's the same in the UK. We've got a similar system, and it's really irritating because it seems really stupid that a lot of us would argue that one vote should equal one vote. But that's not the way it seems to work.
Right, and I understand that argument, and I also understand the argument that says no presidential candidate is going to pay attention to the farmer in Iowa and what his needs and desires are if we're doing it on who gets 50% plus one. They are going to go to New York, and they're going to go to California, and that's going to be it, because those are the two heaviest populations in the country, and every policy and every campaign speech is going to be directed at those two groups of people.
Does that not tell you then that the United Nations, the United States would never be united?
I would say that even by design, we've always been rabble-rousers. We've always been disagreeable.
Yeah.
And
well, when you got that many people, under effectively one nation, to get everyone to agree is, we can't even agree in the UK, and we're tiny compared to you guys.
Well, yeah, and you think about it. I drove from Atlanta, Georgia to Los Angeles, California a couple of years ago with a friend of mine. We left here and just drove straight through. We slept for 3 hours at a hotel in Texas. It took us 36 hours driving straight through.
Yeah.
So it's a huge country, and you have everything from, the farmer to the lawyer to the, to the ballet dancer to the, hair salon owner. Everybody across the country has a different view on life and a different view on how to live. And, I don't know whether, I think people tend to kind of gravitate towards, if you're artistic and open-minded and liberal, you go to New York or California. If you're more conservative and you want to own a gun and deer hunt, you go to Tennessee or Georgia or Texas. And to ever say that we would be a united country, philosophically, I don't know how we could ever do that.
No, I don't think it's possible because of how big you are. You look at, say, your East Coast to your West Coast. They're not just different. They're not just sort of different parts of the country. They are what's the word I want? Different cultures, different cultures, which normally you'll find in different countries. So, like where you said you drive 36 hours or however many hours it was, I live in Wales, which is a different country, obviously, to England, although it's part of the UK. I could go down to see family in Essex in England, So drive into a different country, I could go back and forth in that time, probably, 5-6 times over? That's ridiculous,
probably.
and it would take you that amount of time just to go to one place.
Well, and you think about it too, that in the UK, even though there are significant cultural differences, and you have had a lot more immigration over the years, we have had immigration from different parts of the world for 300 some odd years, and we are, the melting pot. Sorry, my dog's chiming in.
Whoa! I wondered what the hell just happened then.
It sounds like a wolf.
That's Moose has some opinions on the debate. But so we're very diverse, and we're and really it's by design, and it's great, and it should be something to be celebrated. That you can be whatever you want to be. You can be a religious conservative. You can be a atheist, liberal, whatever. Not that those things are not go hand in hand all the time, but you can be whatever you want to be in the United States.
And according to some people, you could be a racist that's 6 times bankrupt and be president of the United States.
Right, and you can also be somebody who takes every little thing and turns it into racism.
Yeah, exactly. That is the other side of it. They will take every little snippet, and that's the thing as well. It's where people take certain things out of context. And this is no defense of Trump. We have no leeway here, really. We're just sitting back and watching this unfold right now. We've got the luxury of, because it's not our country, we get to sit back and just kind of enjoy this entertainment. Because the entertainment we're getting here from our Prime Minister is not as entertaining, and we don't enjoy it. He's just bumbling his way through everything, and he's looking more like Joe Biden these days.
Yeah, y'all are having a rough go.
Yeah. He doesn't even know the rules on these sort of half lockdowns or measures of whatever it is he's calling it today. He doesn't even know what they are today, because I don't know if you heard about this. He was on the news earlier. He was giving a press release essentially of the rules, and he had to look to his advisors constantly because he was just completely ruining it and getting it wrong, and nobody knew what was going on. And and the thing is, like, some people sort of find it comical, but when you boil down to it, you're playing with people's lives, and it's really, really serious. Like, we can joke about these sort of things, but it's very serious.
Well, you're playing with people's lives. You're also playing with people's businesses.
Yeah.
You're playing with their freedom. You're playing with essentially who your country is.
Yeah.
And that's tough. I mean, Joe Biden brought up a couple months ago that he was in favor of a full lockdown, and if you go outside your house, you got to wear a mask. Well, when I go out and cut my grass, I'm on an acre. I mean, I've got a huge yard. There isn't anybody around when I'm cutting grass. And I'm at no risk for catching COVID.
As in actually just leaving your house, even if you're just on your own?
If you just walk out your front door, you've got to have a mask on.
Wow.
Which is bonkers, because that's... I mean, if you're out in the fresh air, what's out there in the fresh air? That would be the more worrying thing. If they literally said, if you walk out your front door, you have to wear a mask because of this deadly virus or whatever, and you have to think to yourself at that point, well, what the hell is in the air?
Yeah. Well, then you're getting really concerned. What got cut loose on us?
Yeah, because then you've got people, because don't get it wrong, you've got what are considered conspiracy theorists who, think different to the mainstream.
There aren't conspiracy theorists, there are just questions.
They are just questions, that's the one. It was funny the other day, because I asked you, where the hell did you hear that? And you said it, and I was like, oh, it sounded very wise.
That was good.
I didn't even realise. But you've got people that, at the minute, I mean, you must hear some of these conspiracy theories that are going on. Some of them sound like they're losing their mind, but if they did go to the extent of, putting a mask on as soon as you go outside the door and that, people's heads would explode like, well, what's going on? What's in the air? What are you doing?
Well, and honestly, I think that's one of the geniuses, if you can use that term with Trump, about the way he handled it, because even though he's taken some flack for it, and I don't necessarily agree with everything all of his thinking on this, he basically said, look, I'm going to run my life the way I have been running my life so that the people of the United States don't freak out. And they can look to me and say, you know what, Trump's not wearing a biohazard suit every time he walks out the White House door. And he's still shaking hands with people, and he's still doing his job.
There is that. See, I was all right. I was with you there up until you said he was shaking people's hands, because our Prime Minister tried that and he got COVID.
Right. Well, and I have to wonder, I know that if you walk in the White House, like, you get a full physical, basically, when you walk in there. So the people around him, you know, the risk is so low of him contracting anything because they test everybody every day. Everybody's temperature is taken. I mean, they're in full lockdown, basically. And, you know, they're doing what they talk about nobody wants to do. But you know, they have the responsibility of protecting the life of the President of the United States. So I understand why they're doing that. And you know, I think one of the hard things for either Biden or Trump tonight is that if you really look at the polling numbers, and y'all had asked me that question, I somehow got us off on something else.
Yeah.
But if you look at those polling numbers, there's going to be probably 45% of the country that's going to vote for the Democrat no matter what.
Yeah.
And about 45% of the country that's going to vote for the Republican no matter what. And then there's, in that leftover percent, there's some that lean Republican and some that lean Democrat and some that lean Libertarian and some that don't know. Yeah. And so they've got to convince that middle group. And I think that the hard thing about convincing that middle group is going to be, again, getting Biden to show that he's got the stamina and wisdom and intellect to do it, and Trump convincing people that he's not crazy and that he has a good handle on what's going on.
Apparently, a lot of people are already sort of set on who they're going to vote for, so it's going to take something special to sway a lot of people. Are you actually going to be watching this debate now? I
am. Yeah, I'm gonna sit down as soon as we get done. And,
amazing. I tell you what,
grab a beer and
I'm
every minute.
Gonna let you jump off because whoever is sort of mediating it in the middle here, he's come out and he's doing his opening talk to everybody, and what looked like a bunch of vampires just walked in with their masks on. It looked really weird. It looks so strange. It really does. And everyone's just looking around like, oh, what do we do? But I'll let you get off. It's actually been fantastic having you on, and I really hope we can have you on again for another podcast, essentially.
Well, I have really enjoyed it, and, you know, feel free to reach out to me anytime. And I actually have a podcast here in the U.S.
Oh, give it a shout out. Tell everyone.
Yeah. Okay. So we're called The Wilder Ride. And in season 1 and 2, we broke down Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles, 2 great Gene Wilder movies, 1 minute at a time. So it's about 100 episodes each season. And then this season, we've gone to more of a format of interviewing interesting people.
Amazing.
So we're going to reach out to you here in the next couple of weeks and get you on and get more of an international perspective on the world and life, and see if you can join us one week.
Amazing. I'd love to do that. Send over your link and we'll share that for you.
That sounds great. Hey, thank you, Ian. It was great talking to y'all.
Enjoy the show.
Thanks, y'all too.
See you later.
Yeah, talk soon.
Bye. Oh, that was a nice way to start the show. So Eirian's going to bring in some more snacks because I don't think we've got enough here. And we're going to put oh, hello. Yes. Thank you very much. And we'll put the volume on here now. Bear with me. We only have a small setup in here, so it's nothing fancy. Oh, I'll probably have to turn the volume on the TV as well.
And make sure he talks to the American people.
Here we
and
go.
Not just talks to Donald Trump.
And Kelly, the president has raised questions about the legitimacy of this election.
Showtime.
Showtime, baby.
Is that not reckless and careless when, as Michael says, there is such division and such a sense of anger on the streets?
I hope these guys aren't going to talk over it the whole time because we're meant to talk over it.
Yeah, we're supposed to be the annoying ones.
Yeah.
That have never done mail-in voting on a mass, level.
So just briefly, actually, while they're just sort of blabbing away like we're meant to, if anybody has any comments or they'd like to give us their predictions as to how this is going to go, or even if you're enjoying it or you see something that you'd like to comment on, feel free to comment on the video. We'll read it out, and we can always answer some questions or even ask more questions. I did ask a couple of people beforehand what they think will happen. We had... who did we have here? Dav says Biden is going to get wrecked. He might gain some traction with the Trump tax claims, but I don't think Biden's going to be able to keep up.
I've got this weird feeling that he's going to go on stage and wander off the other side of the stage. I've just got it in my vision, and then somebody's just going to chase him, but they can't touch him.
Sir, come back here, come back.
No, because social distancing.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Biden.
Athena said it's going to be insane. I had so many hopes for this. The build-up for this has just been... This has been almost like, UFC fights. I got the same feeling for this as getting ready for like watching a UFC fight. I just can't wait for the carnage.
Because it's 2:00 in the morning here right now.
Yeah, it is.
We're
late.
wired. We're just like we're wide awake.
Yeah, we were up way too early this morning to have to do this at this time.
This morning feels like yesterday.
It really does. I can't wait for this though. I do have a sneaky suspicion though that as much as I thought that it would be fireworks sort of thing, I kind of feel like, because did you know there's going to be it's like a series of 3. So you've got this debate, then 2 others afterwards between these two. So this might actually be them just feeling each other out. It might not be the scathing quips and sort of digs at each other that we're hoping for. There might be more to come later on.
But the thing is now, what if Joe Biden is amazing?
Oh, can you imagine?
And just gets one up massively on Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is there with all stuttering and
I didn't expect him to actually know where he is.
Right, place your bets.
Yeah. Walt, who we just had on, actually has just said, I hope he wanders off.
I really just saw that for some reason. I just thought he's going to go on stage, not know his mark, and just keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
What if he does it, though? What if he plays on it? Because I feel like, as well, as part of it, he might be lulling him into a false sense of security. Mm-hmm. Like this whole thing of... I haven't really started preparing and all this. Might be because Trump's got a big ego, so he might think, I've got this one, and he think I'm going to walk all over him. But if he
doesn't he think that anyway?
Oh yeah, he's going to think that regardless. But
doesn't matter who he was against.
Imagine that he just comes on and just completely catches him off guard. He's ready. Gave a big thumbs up. Oh, here we go.
I'm Chris Wallace of Fox News, and I welcome you to the first of the 2020 presidential debates. President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. This debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. The Commission has designed the format, 6 roughly 15-minute segments, with 2-minute answers from each candidate to the first question, then open discussion for the rest of each segment. Both campaigns have agreed to these rules. For the record, I decided the topics and the questions in each topic. I can assure you, none of the questions has been shared with the commission or the 2 candidates.
Well, that's good to know. So Ricky has said Biden wins and Trump refuses to leave. At least that's what I'm hoping for, some fireworks.
That's what Donald Trump said, though. He's not going to leave even if he loses. How's that going to work?
What, the White House? He's saying about here.
Oh.
I think.
No, he's actually said.
It'd be funny if he did it here. Trump's just there at the end going, no, I haven't finished.
I'm not leaving.
I need to talk more about China.
Shouldn't really take the mic.
As we welcome the Republican nominee, President Trump, and the Democratic nominee, Vice President Biden.
Here he is. Here he comes. Oh, he's looking relaxed.
Aww.
I thought he'd have a joke and play on it and walk past it and then go, nah, I'm coming back.
Gentlemen, a lot of people have been waiting for this night, so let's get going. Our first subject is the Supreme Court. President Trump, you nominated Amy Coney Barrett over the weekend to succeed the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the court. You say the Constitution is clear about your obligation and the Senate's to consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden, you say that this is an effort by the president and Republicans to jam through an appointment and what you call an abuse of power. My first question to both of you tonight, why are you right in the argument you make and your opponent wrong? And where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court?
I love straight away, who's right, who's wrong.
2 minutes.
Fight.
I will tell you very simply, we won the election. Elections have consequences. We have the Senate, we have the White House, and we have a phenomenal nominee, respected by all, top academic, good in every way, In fact, some of her biggest endorsers are very liberal people from Notre Dame and other places. So I think she's going to be fantastic. We have plenty of time, even if we did it after the election itself. I have a lot of time after the election, as you know. So I think that she will be outstanding. She's going to be as good as anybody that has served on that court. We really feel that. We have a professor at Notre Dame, highly respected by all, said she's the single greatest student he's ever had. He's been a professor for a long time at a great school. And we won the election, and therefore we have the right to choose her. And very few people knowingly would say otherwise. And by the way, the Democrats, they wouldn't even think about not doing it. If they had, the only difference is they try and do it faster. There's no way they would give it up. They had Merrick Garland, but the problem is they didn't have the election, so they were stopped. And probably that would happen in reverse also. Definitely would happen in reverse. So we won the election, and we have the right to do it, Chris.
President Trump, thank you. Same question to you, Vice President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this. And looking forward to this, Mr. President.
He's wasting time.
Doesn't know where he is.
American people have a right to have a say in who the Supreme Court nominee is. And that say occurs when they vote for a United States senators and when they vote for the President of the United States. They're not going to get that chance now because we're in the middle of an election already. The election has already started. Tens of thousands of people have already voted. And so the thing that should happen is we should wait. We should wait and see what the outcome of this election is. Because that's the only way the American people get to express
People have already
their
voted.
view is by who they elect as president and who they elect as vice president. Now, what's at stake here is the president's made it clear he wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. He's been running on that, he ran on that, and he's been governing
Postal
on that.
votes.
He's in the Supreme
Could be
Court
that.
right now trying to
already
get
done
rid of the Affordable Care Act, which will
Sending it
strip
takes
20
time.
million people
It's the post.
from having insurance, health insurance now, if it goes into court. And the justice, and I'm not opposed to the justice, and she seems like a very fine person. But she's written before she went on the bench, which is her right, that she thinks that the Affordable Care Act is not constitutional. The other thing that's on the court, and if it's struck down, what happens? Women's rights are fundamentally changed. Once again, a woman could be held pay more money because she has a pre-existing condition of pregnancy. They were able to charge a woman more for the same exact procedure a man gets. And that ended when we, in fact, passed the Affordable Care Act. And there's 100
I'm going to say it feels
million
like
people
it's already
with pre-existing
started.
conditions, and they'll be taken away as well.
He was doing so well.
Those
He
pre-existing conditions,
stuttered.
insurance companies are going to love this.
Stuttered.
He gets
And
that
so
little
it's just
blip
not
and then
appropriate
starts
to do
looking around
this
like, oh, God.
before this
Yeah.
election. If he wins the election and the Senate is Democrat or Republican, then he goes forward. If not, we should wait until February. All right.
There aren't 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. As far as the say is concerned, the people already had their say. Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully, very strongly, at some point...
It's like,
Okay, Grandad.
Look, I'm going to explain this to you.
The Senate is
Aw.
elected for a period of time, but a president's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a president.
He's elected to the next.
During that period of time, we have an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years, I'm elected for 4 years.
The
And the
election's
100
already
million people, Joe, the 100 million people is totally wrong. I don't know where you got that number. The bigger problem that
Donald,
you have
play
is
nice.
that you're going to extinguish 180
Share your toys.
million people with their private health care that they're very
That's
happy
simply
with.
not true.
Well, you're certainly going to socialist. You're going to socialist medicine.
We're now into, gentlemen, we're now into open discussion. Open discussion. Yes, I agree. Go ahead, Vice President.
Number one, he knows that what I proposed. What I proposed is that we expand Obamacare and we increase it. We do not wipe any, and one of the big debates we had with 23 of my colleagues trying to win the nomination that I won, were saying that Biden wanted to allow people to have private insurance still. They can, they do, they will under my proposal.
It's not what you've said,
But
and it's not what
that
your party
is-
has said.
that is simply
Your party
a lie.
doesn't say it. Your party
That is
wants
a-
to go socialist.
He let him have his
Party
chance.
is me.
Socialist
Right
healthcare.
now, I am
And
Rude.
they're gonna dominate you, Joe.
This
You
is his
know that.
tactics.
I am the Democratic
He wants to
Party
throw him
right
off. If he gets to throw him off that little bit, that's it, it's
This is
over.
what I, in fact, approved of. What I approved of. Now, here's the deal. The deal is that it's going to wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way, the 200,000 people that have died on his watch, how many of those have survived? Well, there's 7 million people that contracted COVID. What does it mean for them going forward if you strike down the Affordable Care Act?
Joe, you've had
You did.
308,000 military people dying because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the military. So don't tell me
I'm
about
happy
this.
to talk
Ricky
about
says
it.
the comedy show begins.
It would be 200, there would be 2 million people because you were very late on the draw. You
Late
didn't
on
want
the
me to
draw.
ban China, which was heavily infected. You didn't want me to ban
All right, gentlemen,
Europe, which was heavily
Mr. President.
You
Wow,
were
he's
the
silencing
moderator,
everyone.
Mr.
Joe,
President,
be quiet. You hold on.
As the moderator,
Yeah, I'm the moderator.
go ahead.
Let me finish. The point is that the president also.
To be fair,
is
yes.
opposed to Roe v. Wade.
Let him
That's on
finish.
the ballot as well, in the court. And so
Let me
that's
tell
also at
you.
stake right now.
Just sat there
And so
looking at
the
me.
election is all.
I want
It's
it.
on the ballot.
There's no
Why
meat
is it
in
on the
that.
ballot?
Because
Why is it
you
on the ballot? It's not on
said
the ballot.
it's on the ballot in the
I
court.
don't think so.
In the court. Well,
There's nothing happening there.
Donald, would you
And you
just
don't
be quiet
know
for a
her
minute?
view on Roe.
Donald, be quiet.
Well, all right. All right.
Do you feel like
Don't make me come there.
No, no, Donald.
On healthcare, and then we'll come back to Roe v. Wade.
Count to 3.
Mr. President,
1.
the Supreme Court will hear a case a
2.5.
week after the election in which the Trump administration, along with 18 state attorneys general, are seeking to overturn
That's right.
Obamacare, to end Obamacare. You have spent the last...
Because they want to give good health care.
If I may ask my questions.
Good health care.
Over the last 4 years, you have promised...
I'm getting the last
to be able
word.
to replace Obamacare, but you have never in these 4 years come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan
Yes, I
to
have.
replace Obamacare.
Of course I have.
Well, I'll
You
give
got
you
rid of
enough.
the
And when I
individual
finish, I'm
mandate.
gonna give
Let
you-
him finish what he's saying, and then you can tell him what it is.
Exactly.
Comprehensive plan.
That is absolutely a big thing. That was the
Rude.
worst part of Obamacare.
Sir,
Chris,
you're
that was the
debating him,
worst
not
part of
me.
Obamacare.
Let me ask my
Well,
question.
I'll ask Joe.
No, let him finish, Donald.
It's just literally.
President, I'm the moderator of this debate.
Yes.
And I would like you to let me ask my question. and
Be a
then you
good
can
boy.
answer.
Go ahead.
You, in the course of these 4 years, have never
Go
come
ahead,
up with
then.
a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare. And just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump health care plan?
Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay.
Oh,
I'm not
my
surprised.
God.
Let me just tell you something.
What are
There's
you
nothing
doing?
symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices.
He's
I'm
so
going with
combative.
vaccinations,
He
which no
is.
president
You
has
just
the
argue with
courage to do
everybody.
because
The
you
guy's
go
not even
against
arguing
big
with him.
pharma.
He's just asking him a
Drug
question.
prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. Nobody's done it. So we're cutting health care. All of the things that we've done,
He has not cut
insulin. I
healthcare.
give you an example. Insulin. It was destroying families, destroying people because I'm getting it for so cheap It's like water, you want to know the truth. So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs that what we're doing, prescription drug prices. We're going to allow our governors now to go to other countries.
What kind of water is
to
he
buy
drinking?
drugs because they pay just a tiny fraction.
Laced with gold.
This is big stuff.
Laced with Ritalin by the sounds of it.
To ask the Vice President, which is, he points out, that you would like to add a public...
Ricky says the guy makes a mockery of any process just to keep control. He's trying to control this so far. He won't even take a question.
It will
Not what your party says, by the way.
It will end private insurance and create a government takeover.
But then he's
It
still.
does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare would, Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option.
I do worse than that when I've done a full day's work.
Not be in that
You work?
So you agree with Bernie Sanders, he's far left, on the manifesto, we call it.
Wow.
That gives you socialized medicine.
Look, hey,
Are you saying
I'm not
you
going to
didn't
listen to him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not
You
by
did.
much.
I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm here standing facing you.
Pocahontas would have left 2 days early. You would have lost every primary.
All he knows how to
on
do is
Super Tuesday. You got
Look,
very lucky.
here's the deal. I got very lucky. I'm going to get very lucky tonight as well. And tonight I'm going to make sure, because here's the deal. Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
You just did
I
it.
just want to make sure.
Everything he said is a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies,
But he's a liar.
but he's a liar. And I'm calling him
He
out.
doesn't know how to do that.
Donald Trump is actually making himself look like a bully.
Yeah.
And he's actually going to get people more against him.
Here's the deal.
Instead of being, I will listen to you.
There is no
And I will.
manifesto.
I feel like Trump is playing the wrong card right now.
Number two,
He should let him just talk.
Sorry, but I want to say my say, Ian.
Yeah, he just keeps talking over everyone. If you let Biden talk, he'll lose where
But
he
what I'm
is.
telling you is, Ian. I'm joking, I'll stop.
It's almost like the person
I'll
that
tell you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care. Because he in fact already has cost
Bernie,
10
over here.
million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his
Not from the
recession. Number
Muppets.
one. Number two, there are 20 million people getting health care through
Is it?
Obamacare
I
now
think so.
if he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give you
Number
better
three.
health care at a much lower price
And
because
by the way, he
Obamacare
doesn't
is
know
no
how.
good.
He doesn't know how
I've
to do
already
that.
Right, we're still on the first question.
Yeah, they're going back
He
here.
has never
Obamacare,
done a
as you
single
might
thing.
know, but probably don't.
Don't choke on popcorn now.
If you're both speaking at the same time,
And it's too expensive.
let the president, go ahead, sir.
Obamacare.
If
is
you
no
let
good.
him
We
talk,
made it better. And I had
he'll
a chance
just
to make
lose
very
where he
well.
is,
We
go
took
around
away
in circles,
individual
and look very
We
bad.
guaranteed pre-existing
But at the minute, he's
conditions.
just
We took
talking
away
over
the
everybody and making
individual
himself look really.
Yeah.
Listen, this
Bully.
is the way it is.
Yeah.
And that destroyed. That they shouldn't even call it Obamacare. Then I had a choice to make. Do
He's
I let
just
my
jealous
people
of
run it
Obama.
Really well,
Oh, yeah, it would never get the praise Obama did. But then Obama doesn't even get the praise that he now that he was getting before.
Oh, really?
No, it's a lot of Americans don't feel the same about him.
The problem is, no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive.
It hurts him to say Obama.
And it doesn't work. So,
I'm surprised he's even saying the name. The name that we do not speak.
I have to give you roughly equal time. Please let the vice president talk.
Good.
He has no plan for health care.
Please.
He sends out wishful thinking. He has executive orders that have no power. He hasn't lowered drug costs for anybody. He's been promising a health care plan since he got elected. He has none, like almost everything else he talks about. He does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan. And the fact is, this man doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right,
He's
I have one final question for you.
Sure.
Joe, what was he talking about? Just out of interest. Can you tell us?
About the Supreme Court here.
Oh.
Go ahead and confirm Justice Barrett. There has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now. Make sure you, in fact, let people know.
Where's he looking?
I'm not going to answer the question.
Why would you answer that question?
He's not answering the question, though. See, I don't like that.
Will you shut up, man?
Yay!
Who's on your right?
Gentlemen, I think
This
we've
is
ended
so
this.
unprecedented.
I'm not going to give a list.
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it?
Oh, shots fired.
Yes!
All right. The second subject is COVID-19.
Oh, I'm going for salty popcorn on that one.
We have had more than 7 million cases of coronavirus in the United States, and more than 200,000 people have died. Even after we produce a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years before we come back to anything approaching normal.
Not before you get your COVID passports.
Based on what you have said and done so
I won't say
far,
anymore.
and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case,
Is there a third option?
the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
True.
Good luck. 200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 5%, or 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is.
Wow.
The president
It's very blasé.
It's probably got that attitude. If it's nothing to do with my family or people I know, then who cares?
Back in February, how
Probably his
That's a bit-
attitude.
crisis was.
That is a bit shitty,
He
though, isn't it?
knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan. I laid out back in March exactly what we should be doing. And
Donald,
I laid
be
out
quiet.
again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all.
He is that kid in class that can't just wait for his turn.
The money the House has passed in order
like
to
living
be
with
able
you.
to go out
Yeah, it
and
must be a
give
nightmare.
People the help they need to keep their businesses open.
It's just
schools
easier
that
to
cost
go,
a lot of money.
"All right,
You should get out
I'm
of
gonna
your
go now."
bunker and get out
Yes,
the
Ian.
trap and
Of
get
course,
in
Ian.
your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
So if we would have listened to
Wait, you
you,
have 2 minutes, sir.
if we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000, and one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic. Because you didn't think we should have closed our country. Wait a minute.
It says 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of your
He did,
Democrat
though.
governors said...
Not save thousands of lives necessarily. At the very beginning, he said about locking down and not letting anyone in from China and that.
Yeah.
And everyone just said he was racist.
In fact, People that would not be necessarily on my side.
I get
said
what he did.
President Trump did a phenomenal
Like,
job.
it was the
We
right
did.
thing and
We
stuff.
got the gowns, we
But it
got
was
the
hard for
masks,
people to
we
trust
made the
him because
ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators, and now
he-
we're weeks away
he
from
acts
a
like a
vaccine.
racist.
We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people
Still
are
waiting on the
dying
wall.
when they get sick. Far fewer people
Waiting
are
on the
dying.
what?
We've
Wall.
done a great job.
On the wall.
The only thing I haven't
Have they
done a
started
good job,
building
and
that wall?
that's
I
because
don't
of
know.
Fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press, they give me bad press, because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in
I mean,
your
you
blood.
get that
could
here
never
as well,
done
though.
the job.
He's not wrong. You get that here. Look what happened to Labour the other year. Corbyn. He was attacked on every front, and
I actually,
Conservatives weren't.
voted Labour. Oh, should I say
I know,
that?
shocking.
200,000. There was
A
no
very-
economic recession.
Should I say that?
No recession.
Can't believe I live with you.
It's out there now on the internet.
We didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy he's shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look.
Ricky is
you folks at home,
asking-
How many of you got up this morning and had an empty
Fauci
chair
knew
at
about
the
it in
table?
2017.
Somebody died of COVID. How many of you were in a
That's
situation
concerning.
where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding the phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye.
You would have lost far
How many
more
people?
people. Far
That is-
more people.
See, that's cheap.
You would have been.
And by the way,
That's cheap doing that.
His own CDC.
No, but
director
it makes
said
you think,
we
doesn't
could
it?
lose as
Yeah, of
many
course
as
it does.
another
But it's cheap to do that
200,000
because-
The girl's coming out at me now.
And he held up his
That,
head,
but that's all he's trying to do. Is
wear
pull,
a
he's trying to
mask
pull on the
and say,
heartstrings of people, and there's no need for it.
Just a mask.
Just
And
give
by
us
the way,
facts.
In terms of the
And do that in
promotion of
America
a
too.
vaccine, we're for a vaccine.
Would I?
I don't trust him at all. Nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
I know,
You don't
he's
trust
not doing it
Trump
now.
doesn't.
Pfizer.
Wait.
And by the way,
Gentlemen,
and then,
let me move on.
I'm gonna start doing that to you from now on.
Questions about the future, because you both have touched on two of the questions I'm going to ask. Focusing on the future
Rude to
for
point.
President Trump, you have repeatedly either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last,
There was one he said he didn't even know anything about.
Dr. Redfield said it would
One of
be
them was
summer
corrupted or something, or did
before
something.
the vaccine
I don't
could
know who he
become
is.
generally
I don't know him. There's
available
pictures
to
of them
the
together.
public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those were your two
Deny,
words.
deny.
But Dr. Slowy, the head of your operation
Always deny.
feed, has said exactly the same.
There's a lot of
thing.
men that'll tell you the same
That
thing.
photo is photoshopped.
I swear I don't know who she is. Anyway.
Because people like this would rather make it political
Ricky,
than
definitely
say
send that
goodbye.
to us.
It is a very political thing.
Ricky
I've
reckons he's
spoken
got a
to
video
Pfizer, I've
of
spoken
him
to
saying
all
that
the people that
Trump-
I have to speak to. We have great Moderna, Johnson
Of him
Johnson,
saying the
and
Trump
others.
administration
They can
would
go faster
experience a
than that by lot.
pandemic.
Become very political because
It's interesting.
the left or I
There
don't
have
know
been
what-
people that have
what-
predicted.
One hell of a psychic.
Dr.
I
Slowy,
disagree with him. Yeah, no, I disagree with both of them. And he didn't say that. He said it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my office 2 days ago.
He talked about the summer, sir, before it's generally available. Just like
He said
Dr.
it's a
Redfield.
possibility that we'll have the answer before November 1st. It could also
I'm
be
talking about when
after
it's
that.
generally available. not
Well,
when-
we're going to deliver it right away. We have the military all set up logistically. They're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day. They're going to be
this is the
delivering.
same man
It's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
by Easter this would be gone away. By the warm weather it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
I know, but check him
So
out.
here's the deal. This man is talking about a vaccine.
Sorry.
Every serious company
got
is talking
excited.
about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God we will.
Did America have a break in the pandemic? You know, like we've had during the summer, it's completely almost gone away. Like it was very, very low number. We weren't having deaths at all.
I don't think they have been.
Has it just been consistent? Has it just been a consistent
not,
level?
Not like from lockdown consistent, but it's
Because he's saying like
Quite high,
750 to 1,000 deaths a day. Is that still happening?
And are reluctant to take it. Are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
ask friend
No more
Google.
than the question you just asked him. You
No,
pointed
I'll ask
out
our listeners if we have any.
he disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying you can't-
Anyone in the US, how many deaths are you having a day at the minute, and how many have you been having across this whole time?
She said,
Have you had a break in it at all?
Quote, will be muzzled, will be...
Yeah.
We're on
crushed.
single figures now, aren't we,
That's what he's going to try
in
to
UK?
do, but there's millions of scientists, there's
A day.
thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him. That's not, they're the people, and by
I
the way...
spoke to the
in fact,
scientists that are in charge.
By the way...
They will have the vaccine very soon.
Do you believe for a moment...
Do you think he knows they've got a vaccine and he's desperately wanting to say, we've got one, but I'm not allowed to say?
whole issue relating to COVID. He still hasn't even acknowledged that he knew this was happening, knew how dangerous it was going to be back in February, and he didn't even tell you. He's on record.
I was
as
watching
saying
it on the news in
he
bloody
panicked when
January.
He just looked at the stock market. One of the two. Because
Daily.
guess what? A
Yeah.
lot of people
There's
die.
about like 10 minutes
A
of it
lot
on the
more
news.
gonna die unless he gets a lot smarter.
Yeah,
a lot quicker.
I got it from you. You gave it to me. You heard it, the murmurings of it first.
And you know how I am. I'm like a dog with a bone.
Yeah.
You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated.
So the next day I went out and bought all the toilet roll.
Almost in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Oh, give me.
Oh.
Because you know what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe. 47 years you've done nothing.
Let's have this debate.
And if you would have had...
Oh, he's getting nasty. He's getting nasty, guys.
If you would have had the charge of what I was put through, I had to close the greatest economy in the history of our country. And by the way, now it's being built again.
See,
And
We're
it's
going to
going
get
up
to the
fast.
economy in the next segment, sir.
Okay.
It's going up
Yeah,
fast.
didn't he do good for the
When it
economy
comes to
though?
how the virus has been handled
Don't know
so
how he can't
far,
run his own
the
business.
two of you have taken very different approaches, and this is going
His
to
whole thing
affect
has been about
how
economy,
the
though.
virus is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming
This
the
whole
next
pandemic
president.
has trashed
I'm
it.
going to quickly go through several of those. Reopenings. Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir?
Because he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I know what the plan is. You've got to provide these businesses the ability to have the
What's the
money
plan,
to be able
Joe?
to reopen
What's the
with PPE, as well as with the sanitation they need.
Yeah.
You have to
Tell
provide
that to
them
Nancy
plastic.
Pelosi.
That's true.
Well, he just shush for a minute.
Tell it to
See,
Nancy
you know,
Pelosi.
And
And Schumer.
by the
Brian
way,
Schumer.
Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have a plan. He won't even meet with them. The Republicans won't meet with him in the
Okay.
Senate. And he sits on his golf course and, I mean, literally, think about it.
You probably play
Think
more than
about
I do, Joe.
What about this question of reopenings and the
Well,
fact...
he wants to shut down this country,
Oh.
and I want to keep it open. And we did a great
He
thing
just
by
admitted
shutting
he'd
it
shut
down.
it down.
Wait a minute, Joe. Let me shut you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. We want to...
I'm confused at whose go it is right now.
We just went through it.
I don't even know if his time's
Well,
up.
Prosecco.
We found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable. We learned a lot. Young children aren't. Even younger people aren't. We've learned a lot. But
not
he wants to
true.
shut it down. More people will be hurt by continuing. If you look
don't
at Pennsylvania, if you look at
understand this
certain
whole thing.
states that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons they're shut down is because they want to keep it shut down until after the election on November
I want to
3rd.
move on to another
Because
subject.
it's a
I want to move
political-
on to another
I gotta
subject.
respond.
But those states are not doing well that are shut down
Richard,
right
You
now.
gotta respond to that.
We've had a comment from Anne. Biden won. Big fat. Oh, Biden won. Trump. Big fat zero. What a numpty. He's not looking great so far.
Bole, bole, bole.
Touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think
the
masks are
efficacy of
okay. You have to
masks?
understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to, but I
Just
wear
like your
masks
rally.
when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear a mask like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from me. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. I will say,
That's his face, Donald.
Look,
He's old and weathered.
We provided money, the
But I was asking you, sir, about masks.
Well, masks make a big difference. His own head of the CDC said if we just wore masks between now, everybody wore masks and social distance between now and January, we'd probably save up to 100,000 lives. It matters.
and they've also
It
said the
matters.
opposite. They've
And
also said
no serious person said the opposite.
Well,
serious
all right, I wanna
Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci said the
He did
opposite.
I
not
want
say
to
the
ask you, we
He
got a
said
little
very
bit more than a
strongly,
minute left in this
masks
segment.
are not good. Then he changed his mind. He said masks are good.
I
I'm
wanna
okay
ask-
with masks.
I
I'm
want to
not
ask you
fighting
both about
masks.
one last subject, because Your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned. President Trump, you're holding large rallies.
Has he tried picking up a glass yet?
Thousands of people.
Outside.
Who's that? Is that Biden or
Yes,
Trump?
sir. Agreed.
Wasn't it Trump? Doesn't he do something weird when he
Is it when
drinks?
he picks up?
Oh, he has
Doesn't he
the
pick
dog.
up with both hands and say he's like this? Yeah, and he drinks it like.
All right. In any case, why you holding the big rallies? Why you not?
Oh, pinky and all.
Oh, I don't know if he
Gotta
does
be
that,
posh.
but you know we're British over here, so that's how we drink our drinks.
And I'll have 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
Are you not worried
hangars,
about
and we
the
have a
disease
lot of
issues,
people.
sir?
Well, so far we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside. That's
Is it
a big
Anne?
difference according to the.
Why is she not in bed?
We do them outside.
Anne,
we have
the late night
tremendous crowds, as you see.
She's saying,
And-
"God
and
save
we
America,
24 hours notice.
get that
And Jim does the
egotistical
circles and has
goofball
three
Trump
people
out."
someplace.
Okay.
By the way, did you see one of the last big rallies he had? And a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, "No,
That
no,
is a
no.
good point, Ricky. Where's the real politics? Because we're not really hearing it at the minute.
I'm way far away from those other people." And that's what he said. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing on one another.
We've had no
The
negative
cheek to
effect.
jowl.
He's good
No
at finding the
negative
camera.
effect. We've had
Give
no
him that.
negative effect.
Who, Biden?
35, 40
I don't like that.
at these rallies.
I don't like that all he's doing is searching for the camera to just
Yes, I would.
do this
I
one
will
bit of a
find-
speech. It's almost like a pre-rehearsed speech, and he's not
Social
really
distancing and people wearing masks,
debating.
basically encouraging
Ian
not to.
is not letting me.
Ben, he's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowd,
Shut up.
you would have done the same thing. But you can't. Nobody can.
Gentlemen, can we move on to the economy?
Yes.
The economy
Yes, you may.
is, I think it's fair to say, recovering faster than expected from the shutdown.
Much
This-
faster.
In the second quarter, the unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal Reserve says the hit to growth, which is going to be there, is
You
not going to be
anarchist.
nearly as big
That was
as they
sweet
had
and salty.
expected.
What are you
President,
doing?
You say we are in a
Taste there.
V-shaped recovery. Vice President Biden, you say it's more of a K-shape. What difference does that mean to the American people
know.
in terms of the economy? President Trump.
These are
in
really
this
nice.
Segment, you go first.
So
It's
we
not
built
nice.
the greatest economy in history. We closed it down because of the China plague. When the plague came in, we closed it down, which was very hard.
The China plague.
psychologically to do. He didn't think we should close it down.
China.
He was wrong. And again,
thought it was the
2
Kung
million
flu.
people would be dead now instead of.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing he said, Jeff.
204,000 people is too much. One person.
Ah,
is
and he
too
thinks
much.
why
Should have
people
never
think he's
happened from
racist.
China. But what happened is
I
we
don't know
closed
where
it
they
down,
get this
and
whole
now we're
racist thing
reopening.
from.
And we're doing record business. We had 10.4 million people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce. That's a record the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. And he wants to close down he will shut it down again. He will destroy this country. You know, a lot of people, between drugs and alcohol and depression, when you start shutting
Been
it
sharing
down,
it.
you take a look at what's happening at some of your Democrat-run states where they have these tough shutdowns. And I'm telling you, it's because they don't want to open it. One of them came out last week. You saw that. Oh, we're going to open
I'm
up
just
on
gonna have
November 9th. Why November 9th?
drink.
Because it's after the election. They think they're hurting
Just having
us
a quick drink.
by keeping them closed. They're hurting people. People know what to do. They can social distance. They can wash their hands. They can wear masks.
The
They can
sound.
do whatever they
China.
want. But they got to open these states up. When you look at North
can do it.
Carolina, when you look, and these governors are under siege.
How'd you do that?
Pennsylvania, Michigan, and a couple of others.
No way.
You got to open these states up. It's not fair. You're talking about almost it's like being in prison. And you look at what's going on with divorce. Look at what's going on with alcoholism and drugs. It's a very, very sad thing. And he'll
hide
close
the
down the
alcohol.
whole country. This guy will close down the whole country and destroy our country. Our country is coming back incredibly well, setting records as it does it. We don't need somebody to come in and say, let's shut it down.
All right. Your 2 minutes, sir. We're now moving.
His hair is very fluffy.
As I said, posing the question,
Very fluffy.
the president says it's a
Quite the
V-shaped
wig.
recovery. You say it's a K-shaped recovery. What's the difference?
The difference is millionaires and billionaires like him in the middle of the COVID crisis have done
Is he
very
not a
well.
millionaire? and
Yeah, is he not a millionaire?
Billionaires have made another $300 billion because of his profligate tax proposal, and he only focused on the market. But you folks at home, you folks living in Scranton and Claymont and all the small towns and working class towns in America.
Right, he's finding the camera but looking above
This
it.
guy
He's turning it into an advert.
$50 in taxes.
Sir, wait, no, sir, it's
It's the wrong
just, yeah, I understand. You've agreed to the 2 minutes, so please let him.
IGAPodcast.
Do I get my time back?
Watch
The fact
it.
is that
Yeah.
he has, in fact, worked on this in a way that...
Yes, you did, did you?
President of the United
Welcome to.
States to leave office, having fewer jobs in his administration than when he became president. Fewer
I
jobs
feel like
than when he became president.
now
First
and then
one
I should just sit here and just go.
Secondly, the people who have lost their jobs are those people who have been on the front lines, those people who have been saving our lives, those people who have been out there dying, people who've been putting themselves in a way to make sure that we could all try to make it. And the idea that he is insisting that we go forward and open when you have almost half the states in America with a significant increase in COVID deaths and COVID cases in the United States of America.
Where
And he
are they
wants to
now
open it
with
up
the whole
more.
COVID?
Why does he want to open it up? Why doesn't he take
don't know.
care of the American? You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis.
It's hard to know where we are because our Prime Minister doesn't even know where we are with the crisis and what we're doing. So God knows where they are.
And your safety, schools.
There's
why are
nothing
schools
there.
open? Because it costs a lot of money to open them safely. You know,
Do you want
they were
ants?
gonna give his
'Cause that's how you get
ants.
teachers and school students masks. And then they decided, no, couldn't do that because it's not a national emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses. Nothing. They're closing. 1 in 6 is now gone. He ought to get on the job and take care of the needs of the American people so we can open safely.
All right.
America's
Your time is up, sir.
massive.
We're
Can
gonna
they
get to-
afford
we're
to
gonna
support
respond
America
to
like
that.
this,
You
like
both have 2
UK
minutes, sir.
supported
Excuse me,
UK?
he made a statement.
God knows.
So did you.
People want their schools, no, people want their schools open.
When they
don't
send
want
in
them shut
checks
down.
out to everyone.
They don't want their state shut down. They want their
Yeah,
residents. I look at New
instead
York, it's
of
so
furlough
sad
like
what's
we had,
happening
I
in New York.
think
It's almost like a
they
ghost town.
they
And
got
I'm not
like
sure it can ever
I think it
recover
was like
what they've done in New York.
$1,000 or something
People want
each.
their places open. They want to get back to their lives.
People
They'll
want
be
to be
careful,
safe.
but they want their
think.
schools open.
Okay.
I might be
I'm the
lying.
one that brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football. It was me, and I'm very happy to do it. And
All right,
the people of Ohio are very proud of me. And you know
We're
how
going to
I
get
found
back,
out? When it
ladies and
took a
gentlemen, we're going to
40
get to your economic plans going forward in a moment. But first, Mr. President, as you well know, there's a new report that in 2016, the year you were elected president, and 2017, your first year as president, that you paid $750 a year
Oh, here it
in
comes.
federal income tax.
Here it comes.
Each of
His
those
tax
years.
evasion.
I know that you pay
Alleged.
a lot of other taxes, but I'm asking you the specific question. Is it true that
Bum,
you pay
bum, bum.
$750 in federal income
Oh, he's
taxes
asking directly,
each
is
of
it
those
true?
2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions
That's what
of
he keeps
dollars
saying.
of income tax. And let me just tell you, there was a story in one of the papers.
Show us your tax
I paid $38 million 1 year. I paid $27 million
Show us your tax
1 year.
returns.
I went, you'll see the series.
Here they are with my mask.
I feel like he should be just walking across the stage, getting closer. Show me your tax
That
returns.
says everything I have.
Show them
every
to
bank
me,
I have.
Donald.
I'm totally under leveraged because the assets are
Oh.
extremely good, and we have a very, I built a
Sir, I'm
great
asking you a
company.
specific question, which
But
is...
let me tell you.
I understand all of
At least
that.
your
I
tax
understand all of
return.
that.
But let me-
No, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Oh.
I'm asking you a question. Will
No.
you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
$750.
Oh, so he's answering it.
Millions of
So he's saying in those 2 years he paid millions of dollars.
But let me just tell you, Chris, let me just tell you something, that it was the tax laws. I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business
Look
people.
at him shocked.
Like every other private person.
I don't want to
you
pay
say
tax.
that?
They go through the laws, and that's what it is. He passed a tax bill that gave us all these privileges for depreciation and for tax credits. We built a building and we get tax credits like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You get a massive, which, by the way, was given to me by the Obama administration, if you can believe that.
Oh.
Obama.
I do want to respond.
I'm going to call that as a sweet shot. That wasn't salty, that was sweet. Because I feel like he enjoyed that.
Well, if he enjoyed it, I'm going for salty.
Because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts. And I'm going to eliminate those tax cuts. And make sure that we invest in the people who, in fact, need the help.
Oh, hello.
There.
Looking at us
Why
again.
didn't we do it over 20?
He's talking directly to us.
Why didn't we do it
because you weren't president screwing things up.
Vote for me.
You're the worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just say, Joe, I've done more in 47 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe. We've done things that you never even thought
Yeah.
of, including fixing the broken military that you gave me, including taking care of your vets.
Mr. President, we're talking about the economy. I'd like to ask you about your plans going forward.
See, he'll be torn apart on that now because he said he paid millions over those 2 years.
If you were to be elected
And other people are saying he hasn't.
Focuses a lot on big government, big taxes, big spending. I want to focus first on the taxes. You propose more than $4 trillion over a decade in new taxes on individuals making more than $400,000 a year and on corporations. President Trump says that that kind of an increase in taxes is going to hurt the
Have a
economy
half-eaten
that's just
chicken.
coming out of a recession.
Well, just
What are
take
these
a look
called
at
again?
what, the,
Goujons.
the analysis done
Yeah,
by
half
Wall
of one and
Street
put it back.
Of course you
points
did.
out that my economic plan would create 7 million more jobs than his in 4 years, number one. And number two, it would create an
How?
additional $1 trillion in economic growth because it would be about buying American. That we're going to make, this federal government spend $600 billion a year on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like. And under my proposal, we're going to make sure that every penny of that has to be made by a company.
But
in
respectfully,
America.
sir, I'm talking about taxes, not spending.
Well, by the way, I'm going to eliminate significant number of the tax. I'm going to make the corporate tax 28%. It shouldn't be 21%. You have 91 companies, in the Fortune 500 who don't pay a single penny in tax.
Yeah, but to be fair, I don't see a problem with that. If that's what people are talking about,
You, in fact, passed
mainly, there's no problem with that. I do, like I said, I do worse than that daily.
Our economy boomed like it's never
the
boomed.
economy-
It's if he just suddenly stops halfway through a sentence, he's just like, I have no idea where I am.
Continue your free market
He's doing
approach, lower
better than-
taxes, more
I'm going to say it.
deregulation, correct?
I'm going to say it.
Tax American people.
But let me, but
He's doing
in
better
Obama's,
than,
you talk about the economy booming.
Boris Johnson.
It turns out that in Obama's final 3 years,
Right now, I'd probably take either one of these two.
and a half more jobs
Government.
than the first 3 years of your presidency.
Yeah, if you watched his performance earlier with 6 outside, inside, something, somebody else.
Words are hard.
I don't normally do this.
They took over something that was down here.
I'd take either one of these two over Boris.
But they're the slowest economic recovery.
Even if you don't
since
like 'em.
1929. Let me tell you about the stock market. When the stock market
Don't,
goes up,
you'll
that
get
means
kicked out of
jobs.
the
It also
country.
means 401ks. If you got in, if you ever became president with your ideas, you want to terminate my taxes, I'll tell you what, you'll lose half of the companies that have poured in here will leave. And plenty
Half
of
of the
companies that are
companies-
already here, they'll leave for
hardly
other
any companies
places.
have
They will
poured in
leave,
here.
and you will have a
I mean,
depression, the likes of which you've never seen.
Look,
Mr.
we
Vice President.
inherited the worst recession, short of a depression, in American history. I was asked to bring it back. We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs you're talking about. We handed him a booming economy. He blew it.
It wasn't
He blew
booming.
it. He
It
blew it.
wasn't booming. It was the weakest
Well, sir,
recovery
is it
since
fair to, wait, is it fair
1929.
to, is it fair to say he blew it when, in
When
fact, there was,
COVID came.
when there was record unemployment?
It's hard though because they'll start spouting all sorts of things like that. So he'll say it was the weakest economy since 1929.
Manufacturing went in the hole.
And at that moment, which one of us is going to go, oh yeah, he's right or he's wrong? You have to wait till afterwards where people will fact check everything and then the
Yeah.
next couple of days we'll find out whether he's lying or...
To bring back manufacturing. I brought back 700,000 jobs. They brought back nothing. They gave up on manufacturing.
We did not do that.
Standard fare.
I'm the guy
He
that brought
totally
back
gave
the
up on
automobile
manufacturing.
industry.
Let him,
We brought back, I was asked to bring back.
I thought you were saying I'm the guy that invented the automobile.
He blew it. They're gone. He blew it. And in fact,
He was around then though, right?
Oh.
I'm the guy. I had porridge for breakfast this morning. I think
No, ready Breck. He's ready for the day.
Mr. Vice President.
he's Weetabix.
And so
Oh.
you take a look at what
He's done
actually
all right
done.
so
He's
far.
done very little. His trade deals
Was it-
are the same way. He talks about these great trade deals.
Alan, are you having shots at me?
China's made.
Is Alan on?
Yeah.
We have
We've
got-
we've got- Alan!
We're the highest.
That bottle is way too much. Has way too much in it.
China ate your lunch, Joe.
Not anymore.
Mine's hiding under the table.
He
It's
takes
nearly
out
empty.
Billions of dollars takes out billions of dollars to manage. He makes
Good thing you
millions
don't
of
like
dollars.
mine.
And also,
Yeah.
while we're at it,
It's
why
too
is it,
fruity.
just out of curiosity,
Ricky says Trump is right about the economic downturn only because we're on the cusp of a fourth industrial revolution.
to deserve $100
So he's right. He's winning by default, is what you're saying.
None of that is true.
Oh, really?
Totally,
He
No,
didn't
hey, Mr. President,
It's
Mr.
totally-
President, please.
Anne says she's quoting, "You're the worst president America has ever had." Well said, Biden.
It is not true.
Oh, really?
Cheers,
Mr.
Anne.
President,
But,
it's an open discussion, please.
It's a fact.
Why are you drinking wine from a whiskey glass?
Nice.
Did
There was a
Burst
report.
183,000 a month with no experience in energy?
Alan, what are you drinking?
Someone did nothing wrong at Burisma.
Every time you say Alan, I would go, Alan!
Alan. Ow,
He doesn't want to
Alan.
answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thoroughly discredited.
By who?
And you
The
can-
media.
By everybody. Well, by the
By the
media,
media,
by our
because they refuse
allies,
to talk
by the
about it
World
because they're
Bank,
embarrassed.
by everyone.
I love that he sort of debates and argues with him, and the minute he's like, I give up, Donald Trump shuts up as well, and it's just like awkward silence.
People under.
He got $3.5
He
million
testified-
from Moscow.
He testified under oath in his administration, said, I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I did
really?
it
I'd like to know who
honorably.
they are.
Well, I'll give you the list
I'll
of the
find
people who
it.
testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a
Some
good
because
job.
Some people don't do
Well,
a good
here's
job.
it.
With you,
Go ahead, you get the, wait a minute, you get the final word.
Silence.
Hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this.
Just remind-
Oh, he's called him a clown.
why did
Not
he
true.
deserve $3.5 million from Moscow?
Look, here's the deal.
See, now he said to him earlier, that's not very presidential the way you're being. Should a president act like that as well, calling his counterpart a clown?
You couldn't think of the word then,
No.
could you? You're doing
like
it now?
him. I'm like him.
Mr.
That's
President,
Every single one of them lost.
This is not about my family or his family, it's about your family. The American family. That's not true. It
Your
doesn't
family.
want to talk about what you
It's not
need.
about me, it's not about you, it's
The
about
American
you.
people. It's about you.
That was a bit creepy that we both
That
did it.
needs a drink.
It didn't take it.
Can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
The noise!
the answer to the question.
You gotta make the
is no.
noise.
Ukraine,
Oh.
Sir,
with $1 billion, if you
No, doesn't he do this?
you know what?
And then he goes,
take doing it.
You're gonna
Yeah.
have
True.
I hate to raise my voice, but I can't.
Oh, the mediator is raising his voice.
So here's the deal. We have.
it's like the headmaster in a school, isn't he?
We're going to go to the next segment. In that segment,
Oh, imagine being the teacher for those two.
What's headmaster in America? Principal? No. Principal?
I think so.
Principal.
Principal.
Yeah, because you got Principal Skinner on Simpsons.
Is that how you
Yeah.
remember it? Is that the only way?
Yeah.
If we
Wow.
allowed both people to speak with fewer interruptions.
I learned from
I'm
telly.
appealing to you, sir, to do that.
And him too.
Well, frankly,
Yes.
you've been doing more
Yes,
than
we
you're
do.
That's what he does well.
Talk to us, TV.
No, less than you have. Let's please continue on. The issue of race. Vice President Biden, you say that President Trump's response to the violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when he talked about very fine people on both sides, was what directly led you to launch this run for president.
Oh, yeah, sure.
President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for black Americans than any president, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. My question
That was
for the
quite
two
a
of you
stretch, that one.
is why should voters trust you rather than your opponent to deal with the race issues facing this country over the next 4 years? Vice President Biden, you go first.
It's about equity and equality. It's about
He's
decency.
kinda
It's about
smiling.
the Constitution. And we have never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America. But we've never accomplished it. But we've never walked away from it like he has done. It is true. The reason I got in the race is when those
Here
people
comes
close
him.
their eyes.
He's
Remember those
He'll
people
so
stop.
badly
He'll
wants to jump in.
stop.
Their veins bulging, spewing, just spewing.
Spewing?
anti-Semitic
Oh,
bile,
spewing.
And accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed. And they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on both sides. No president's ever said anything like that.
Finish
It
this.
is
Now,
who's
second-
next, sir.
Second
He
point I'd
did.
make
He did say that.
is that when Floyd was killed, when Mr. Floyd was killed, there was a peaceful protest in front of the White House. What did he do? He came out of his bunker.
Was this with the whole Bible thing and went to...
Yeah, he cleared them out so that he could walk across the road with a Bible. A Bible that didn't want him there. A church that didn't want him there, apparently.
It was the disgrace. The general who was with him said...
It was.
It's very much, you can't tell me what to do, I'm the president, watch me.
That was spitting in the face of people, that one.
As a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred, racist division. This is a man who, in fact, you talk about helping African Americans. 1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus. And if he doesn't do something quickly, by the end of the year, 1 in 500 will have been killed. 1 in 500 African Americans. This man is a savior of African Americans. This man cares at all. This man's done virtually nothing. Look, the fact is that you have to...
He said that, and Trump just went...
You have to look at what he did. And what he did
I agree with that.
Disastrous for the African American community.
That was weird.
I think he zoned out and wasn't really listening.
He's just waiting to jump in.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he stayed silent that long.
He did a crime bill, 1994, where you call them super predators, African Americans are super predators, and they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
Wow.
So you did that. And
Yeah, weren't
so
they
many of them.
portrayed, though, in films and stuff like that as well?
Yeah.
You have
Like
treated
that.
the African American
Whoa.
population community, you have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the 1990, and that's why, if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time, because they saw what you did.
People are
you
people.
call them super predators,
Sure.
and you've
Why
called
don't
them
they
worse
just
than that,
treat everybody
because you
the
look
same
back at your
anyway?
testimony over the years, you've called them a lot worse than that as far as the
Some
church
people
is
think they're
concerned,
better than others.
And as far as the generals are concerned,
That's
we just
not
got the
fair.
support of 250 military leaders and generals. Total support. Law enforcement, almost every law enforcement group in the United States. I have Florida, I have Texas, I have Ohio, I have Portland. The sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump. I don't think you have any law enforcement. You can't even say the word law enforcement, because if you say those words, you're going to lose all of your radical left supporters. And why aren't you saying those words, Joe? Why don't you say the words law enforcement? Because you know what? If they called us in Portland, we would put out that fire in a half an hour, but they won't do it because they're run by radical left Democrats. If you look at Chicago, if
They're
you
behaving
look at
now.
any place you want to look, Seattle, they heard we were coming in the following day and they put up their hands and we got back Seattle. Minneapolis, we got it back, Joe, because we believe in law and order, but you don't. The top 10 cities and just about the top 40
He's
cities
drawing a picture
are
there.
run by Democrats.
Oh, he's
in many
writing,
cases,
Help
I
me.
hate you.
and they've got you wrapped around their finger, Joe, to a point where you don't want to say anything about law and order. And I'll tell you what, the people of this country want and demand law and order, and you're afraid to even say it.
All right. I want to return to the question of race.
Dun dun.
Vice President Biden,
Law and
after the
order.
grand jury in the Breonna Taylor
Ricky
case,
says, we've heard
decided
all
not
this
to
shit.
charge any of the police with
We have heard all
homicide.
this
You
shit
said it
before,
raises
to
the
be fair.
question, quote, whether justice could
Get
be
ready for
equally
more of it.
applied in America. Do you believe that there is a separate but unequal system of justice for blacks in this country?
Yes, there's systemic injustice in this country, in education, in work, and in law enforcement, and the way in which it's enforced. But look, the vast majority of police officers are good, decent, honorable men and women. They risk their lives every day to take care of us. But there are some bad apples, and when they occur, when they find them, they have to be sorted out. They have to be held accountable. They have to be held accountable. And what I'm going to do as President of the United States is call together an entire group of people at the White House, well, everything from the civil rights groups to the police officers, the police chiefs, and we're going to work this out. We're going to work this out so we change the way in which we have more transparency in when these things happen. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to George Floyd. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to Breonna Taylor.
Alan, mate, you're going too far. You're going to lose. You're going to lose Eirian. You know.
Violence and response
He
is never appropriate.
commented on our picture earlier and put that damn cat.
Violence is never appropriate.
All right,
What is peaceful protest? When they run through the middle of the town,
President
burn down your stores and kill people all over the place, and you say peaceful
We hate you as well.
protest, but you say
Sometimes
it
we
is.
do.
President Trump, I'd like to continue with the issue of race. I promise we're going to get to the issue of law and order in a moment. This month, your administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training? And do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country, sir?
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution that was taking place in our military, in our schools, all over the place, and you know it, and so does everybody else, and he would know.
What is
It was
radical
totally
about
racist.
racial sensitivity training, sir?
If you were a certain person, you had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal. And if you look at the people, we would pay people hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas, and frankly, very sick ideas. And really, they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen. We have to go back to the core values of this country. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place, it's a racist place, and they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to allow that
Is
to
that
happen.
like what we did in history and stuff like that?
He's
And
racist.
did you do it in school?
I know
What's
a
that?
lot more about
You
this.
don't.
Black history.
No, not really.
We
There
did.
is racial insensitivity.
Yeah, but
People
you're
have
younger
to
than
be
me.
Yeah, but I
aware
never saw it
of
as
what
like
other people feel.
we don't
about
really.
what insults them.
Well, in
what is
Wales, we
the
don't-
meaning to them.
I
It's
don't
important that
really
people know
think
they
of,
don't
like,
want to. Many people
racism
don't
and
wanna
stuff like
hurt
that
other
because we
people's
don't-
feelings, but it makes a big difference.
It's not.
It makes a
I don't know how
gigantic
to say
difference in
it.
the way
It's not
child
really a
is able to
thing
grow up
round
and
here,
have
maybe.
a sense of self-esteem.
Is what I'm trying to say.
It's a
So when
little
we
bit
did it
like
in
how
school, I
this
didn't really
guy
think
and his
anything
friends look down
of it.
on
I
so
just
many
thought,
people.
oh, this was a
Look
part of
through the
history or
nose on
something.
people
And now I'm
like
older,
Irish
and
Catholics like me, and
because of, like,
Protestants,
the
they look
internet
down
and
on
everything,
people
I'm
who
like,
don't have
whoa.
money. They look down on people who are of a different faith.
Yeah,
They look down
but
on
it might be
people
because
who
you got
are
less
different
minorities
colors.
around here.
In fact,
I think I just
we're
live
all
under a rock,
Americans.
if
The
I'm
only
honest.
way we're gonna
There's that.
bring this country together
There's a bit of that,
is bring
but-
everybody together. There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together.
I don't know.
We can
I don't know.
take this on and
It's,
we can defeat
there's no right or wrong
racism.
to it when you're just talking about it. There's so like for yourself, if you were to say something that people would deem as not politically correct,
There was hatred.
it is a little bit
You
of
look at,
ignorance.
Ferguson,
And
you
there's
look
nothing
at-
wrong with it
you go to
because
many
you're
places. Look at Oakland.
around
Look what
here,
happened
you're
in
not
Oakland. Look what
integrated with
happened
different
in Baltimore.
minorities as
Look what
much.
happened frankly, it was more
So
violent
there's
than
going to
what
be
we're even
ignorance
seeing
towards it
now.
because you don't know about
The
other minorities. You
reason
don't know
is
their
that
cultures.
the Democrats
I don't know
and
half their
cities
cultures.
don't want to talk
That's
like
what's
you
hard about
about
doing
law and
this.
order.
I'll say something at times. People will be like, "Oh, you can't say that," and I'll be like, "What did I say? What should I say?" Because I don't
Are
know.
you in favor of law and order? Go ahead,
Yes,
say it.
You asked a question, let him finish.
Law and order.
Lose his
Law and order.
Hold on, it's chaos.
Law and order with justice, where people get treated fairly. And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 17%, 15% in our administration.
All right.
It's gone up on his watch.
Went down much more in ours.
All right,
He
we're now,
is
you're,
president of
Mr.
the
President, you're going
United
to,
States of America.
Mr. President,
Every record in the
Okay.
Mr. President, you're
He
going
doesn't look at it though, does he?
There was noise. I didn't understand anything that was happening, and then Donald Trump went China.
Have you noticed though, Biden does not look at him.
This summer particularly, and you often blame that on Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, but in fact there have been equivalent spikes in Republican-led cities like Tulsa and Fort Worth. So the question is this really a party issue?
I think it's a party issue. You can bring in a couple.
How
of
did
examples,
America
but
come
you
to
look
be,
at
Ricky?
Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where
Because Ricky says
53
he doesn't
people
want
were
kids
shot
to be
and
taught
8 died
about how
shot.
about the
Look at
truth
New
about
York,
how
where it's
America
going
came
up
to
like
be.
Nobody's ever seen anything. The numbers are going up 100, 150, 200%.
These are just bickering as well.
It's
true.
crazy what's going on.
And there's,
he doesn't
there's
wanna
not
say
a lot
law
of
and order
facts
because
coming
he
out
can't.
here.
No, it's all
Now and then they'll go,
noise.
this is a fact, that's a fact, but they're not actual numbered
If we
facts
ever
or
got to
anything.
run
They're
this
just saying how
country
great or
and
how
they
bad
ran
the
it
other
the way
person
he
is and then
would
going,
run
and
it,
that's a
we would
fact.
have- The suburbs would be be gone. By the way, our suburbs would be gone.
He's a liar, but I'm not here to say that he's a liar, but he's a liar.
Unless he took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know suburbs.
I was raised in the suburbs. This is not 1950. All these dog whistles and racism don't work anymore. Suburbs are by and large integrated. There's many people today driving their kids to soccer practice.
I am glad that Biden does know that it is not 1950.
As there have been any time in the past. What really is a threat to the suburbs and their safety is his failure to deal with COVID. They're dying in the suburbs. His failure to deal with the environment. They're being flooded. They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything. That's why the suburbs are in trouble.
I do want to talk about this.
To be fair, Ricky, as much as you say that America was born on the backs of slavery and oppression, the entire world was born on the backs of slavery and oppression. Most societies have done it for thousands of years.
Do you support? It means. Let me, if I might finish the question. What does reimagining policing mean?
Doesn't make it okay, though.
Do you support the Black Lives Matter call for community control of policing?
Look, what I support is the police having the opportunity to deal with the problems they face. And I'm totally opposed to defunding the police officers. As a matter of fact, local police, the only one defunding it, his budget calls for a $400 million cut in local law enforcement assistance. They need more assistance. They need, when they show up for a 9/11 call, to have someone with them as a psychologist or psychiatrist to keep them from having to use force and be able to talk people down. We have to have community policing like we had before, where the officers get to know the people in the communities. That's when crime went down. It didn't go up, it went down.
We've got that here.
And so we have to be...
How far do you go with that? So if you send a police officer out to an incident, or normally two, because they go in pairs or whatever, do you have to send a psychiatrist out with them? Maybe a lawyer or a solicitor out with them in case there's a legal issue?
Name one group that came out and supported.
Like, what other skill sets do you have to send out with them?
Wow, you're looking into the future right now, you know, with the way the world's going and
Well, it is though, isn't it?
snowflakes
Because
and...
everyone's out with their cameras now to film it, because legally, if you've got nothing, it's all hearsay.
In Portland, Oregon, especially, we had more than 100 straight days of protests, which I think you would agree. You talk about peaceful protests. Many of those turned into riots. Mr. Vice President, you say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question I have, though, is, as the Democratic nominee, and earlier tonight you said that you are the Democratic Party right now, have you ever called the Democratic mayor of Portland or the Democratic governor of Oregon and said, hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard, do whatever it takes, but you stop the days and months of violence in Portland?
I don't hold public office now. I am a former vice president. I've made it clear in my public statements that the violence should be prosecuted. It should be prosecuted. And anyone who commits it
But
should
you've
be
never
prosecuted.
called for the people, the leader, excuse me, sir, you have never called for the leaders in Portland and in Oregon to call and bring in the National Guard and knock off 100 days of riot.
They can, in fact, take care of it if he just stay out of the way. Look here.
Oh, really?
Here.
Oh, really?
Huh?
Here's the
I
thing.
sent in the U.S. Marshal
Donald!
a picture of a young man in the middle of the
Let
street.
Biden
They
talk.
shot him. And for 3
Mr.
days,
President Trump,
Portland wouldn't do anything. I had to send in the U.S. Marshals, and they took care of business.
Go ahead.
This is the point where I'd go, I'm not listening. Donald, I'm not listening.
Chaos
And then I'll fit in
violence
perfectly.
cause.
The thing is, Ricky, as well, do you tear down society as it is because of the fact it was built on the back of slavery? Or do you build statues and praise the people that actually suffered in the creation of society?
He doesn't want to
and move on from it?
down. Instead of
What do you
going
do?
in and talking to people and saying, let's get everybody together.
Because he's made a fair point. It's built on the back of slavery, but so many societies were built on the back of slavery. What do you do at this point? Because nearly everything you look at around you, we wouldn't have got it without slavery.
I'm going to give you a minute to answer.
And it doesn't even excuse it or make it a good thing or make us go, well, it's great they did it. It was just, that's what happened. So what do? Do you tear it all down and say, well, this is all bad because this is how it happened? Or do you move forward in a positive way and try and, I don't know, highlight the fact that it was built out of slavery? Don't hide it. Don't shy away from it. Don't shut the conversation down.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing
That's right.
extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
Are you
I'm willing
prepared to
do that.
specifically
But
do it?
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see
Well,
peace.
then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. You want to call them? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists
Who
and
would
right
you like me to condemn?
Proud Boys and right Proud
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing.
FBI director
This is a left-wing problem.
white supremacist. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you gotta be
not
kidding.
militia. That's what his
It's an idea.
FBI director
Gentlemen,
said.
Well, then you know what?
No, we're done, sir.
Everybody-
We're moving on to the next. We're
Everybody
moving.
gets that hits you over the head. That's an idea.
No, we're not done.
That's a bad idea.
Can I tell you
We
what?
are done when I am done.
Antifa is a dangerous
All right,
radical
gentlemen, we're
group.
now moving on to the Trump
And
and
you gotta be
Biden
careful with
records.
them. They'll overthrow you.
When a president, I'm going to ask a question. When the president seeks a second term, it is generally a referendum on his record. But Vice President Biden, you like to quote one of your dad's sayings, which is, don't compare me to the Almighty,
Did you just-
compare me to the alternative. And in this case, sir, you are the alternative. Looking at both of your
Oh, you
records,
started
I'm gonna
something
ask
now.
each of you, why should voters elect you president over your opponent? In this segment, President Trump, you go first, 2 minutes.
Because there has never been an administration or president who has done more than I've done in a period of 3.5 years. And that's despite the impeachment hoax. And you saw what happened today with Hillary Clinton, where it was a whole big...
What happened to
job.
the whole
But
impeachment thing
despite
with him?
going
Because
through
that all
of
died
those
off.
things where I had a fight.
Everyone was so sure they had him, and then they had him again, and there was never an impeachment.
That's done what I've done. The greatest, before COVID came in, the greatest economy
thinking
in
all
history,
sorts of weird
lowest
stuff, man.
unemployment numbers. Everything was good. Everything was going. And by the way, there was unity going to happen. People were calling me for the first time in years. They were calling and they were saying, it's time maybe. And then what happened? We got hit, but now we're building it back up again. A rebuilding of the military, including Space Force and all
When
of
was
the
this
other things.
impeachment taking
A
place?
fixing
Supposed
of
to be.
the VA,
Supposedly.
which was a mess under him. 308,000 people died because they didn't have proper health care. He was a mess. And we now got a 91% approval rating at the VA, our vets. We take care of our vets. But we've rebuilt our military. The job that we've done, and I'll tell you some people...
Justin
say,
says
maybe
that's a
most of
pretty
them-
kitty
by
cat.
the end of the first term, I'll have...
I hope you're listening, Alan.
300 federal judges.
Where is
and
She,
appeals
I don't
judges,
know.
300,
She is a
and
pretty girl.
hopefully
got
Would you
scratch
like
on her
her?
nose.
I won't sell her to you. You can have her for
That
free.
is a
When she
record,
winds me up,
the likes
then
of
yes.
which very few people-
When she's
and you know one of
awake,
the reasons
she's
I
not
love
lovely.
Judges, because President Obama and him left me
These are the joyous
128
times when she's sleepy.
judges.
Would you see it?
Phil, when you leave
It's
office,
awake.
you don't leave any
Stay still.
judges. That's like, you just don't do that. They left 128 openings, and if I were a member of his party, because they have a little different philosophy, I'd say if you left us 128 openings, you can't be a good president, you can't be a good vice president, but I want to thank you because it gives us almost, it'll probably be above that number by the end of this term.
I'm sorry.
300 judges, it's a record.
Looking at both your records, why should voters elect you president as opposed to President Trump? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Me.
Hello.
Become weaker,
Me.
sicker, poorer, more divided, and more violent. When I was vice president, we inherited a recession. I was asked to fix it. I did. We left in a booming economy, and he caused the recession. With regard to being weaker, the fact
Wow.
is that I've gone head to head with Putin
See that?
and made it clear to him we're not going to take any
Justin's
of this
got
stuff.
4 cats,
He's
4
Putin.
dogs,
He still
6
refuses
ducks,
to even say
8 chickens,
the bounty
and
against American soldiers.
a hedgehog.
No.
That used to be my life on the farm.
I know. You're a little country bumpkin.
I had 7 geese that would follow me everywhere.
Both sides would
Just-
get 2
just
minutes
out-
Geese?
just-
Why did I say geese?
uninterrupted.
Ducks?
Well, you're
Just out of
trying to
interest.
bring to it.
How many cats did you have?
Observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay?
14.
No, I'm not asking.
If I didn't come along at some point in her life, she would have been a crazy cat lady.
I would be the official crazy cat lady.
Thirdly, we're poor. The billionaires have gotten much more wealthy by a tune of over $300 to $400 billion more just since COVID.
You've already said this.
You in the home, you got less. You're in more trouble than you were before.
What?
Can't compute.
What stage of the debate do you think you're actually at now? Because you've moved past the beginning.
We have only been here
He's President of the United States.
5 minutes.
In regard to more divided, the nation can't
It's not
stay
about
divided.
you. It's not about me.
And speaking of
It's about
the
you.
way you talk about the military, the way you talk about them being losers and being and just being suckers. My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got
Oh, he's getting upset.
The Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot. And the people left behind there were heroes.
Really?
And I resent
Are you talking
like
about
hell.
Hunter? Are you talking about
I'm
Hunter?
talking about my son, Beau Biden. You're
I
talking
don't
about
know. I don't know, Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah, you
Hunter
know
got
Bo.
Hunter got thrown out of the military.
He feels
was
personally
thrown out,
attacked.
dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. It
for
wasn't dishonorably.
cocaine use, and he didn't have a job until you
Is that
became
his
vice president.
son?
And once you
I'm
became
guessing
vice
so.
president, he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
That is
and
simply
various
not
other places.
true.
He
My
made a
son,
fortune,
my son,
and he didn't have a
my
job.
son, like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem.
You at home.
They were taking it.
You guys are.
You at home. You and your drug problem.
I'm proud of him.
But why was
Wow.
he tens of millions of
Hash.
dollars?
That's what you just did.
No, you. Hash.
President
President Trump,
discredited.
you've already been
Totally discredited.
We've already been through this.
That's
I think the American
mean.
People would rather hear about more
What?
substantial
So do I.
subjects. Well, you know,
Telling
Oh,
everyone at
your
home they got a
son not
drug
did
problem.
good, but what about your bad son?
He should have just gone, well, to be fair, we've all got one bad one, so we won't.
It's
whatever.
Get Romney on that.
Trying to think which one's the bad one out of me and my sister.
You.
it's me. You know,
It's me.
I'd like to talk about climate change.
So would I.
Okay. The forest fires in the West are
Ooh.
raging now. They have burned.
Joe is a
millions of
socialist,
acres.
according to
They
Justin.
have displaced hundreds
Oh,
of thousands
Sniffy
of people.
Joe.
When state officials
He did get
there
very
blamed the
upset then when
fires on climate
he
change,
started
the
thinking about how he
president said,
insulted
"I don't
his
think
son.
the science knows."
It was actually
Over
one of the
4
first times I've seen him look at
you have pulled the US
Trump as well.
out of the Paris Climate
directly
Accord.
at him.
You have rolled back a
Stern, how
number of
dare you
Obama
talk about my son?
environmental records. What do you believe about the science of climate change, and what will you do in the next 4 years to confront it?
I want crystal clean water and air. I want beautiful clean air. We have now the lowest carbon. If you look at
Those clouds
right now,
cluttering up that sky. Let's get rid of those. I don't like them.
Destroyed our
Yes.
businesses. Our businesses aren't put out of.
We will develop
commission.
an app
If you look at the Paris
where we can
Accord,
take a rubber.
disaster from
I
our
can't do
side.
it.
And people are
can't do it.
very happy about what's going
I
on.
see a
Because our
cloud.
businesses
I
are
see a
doing
cloud.
well. As
I
far as
rub
the
it
I
out.
erase it. Oh, I just thought of something. If anyone in America is
The forest
watching,
floors are loaded up with
a
trees,
rubber
dead trees that are years old, and they're like tinder.
in the
and
UK
leaves and
is an
everything.
eraser.
Yes, and also aluminum is wrong. It's aluminium.
What do you believe about
No.
the science?
Aluminium.
You know what a rubber is in America, right?
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh yes! I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
It means
Yeah,
eraser.
she meant
here.
eraser. She
Yeah.
wasn't talking about the, you know,
Stop.
rubbers.
That human pollution, greenhouse gas
I learned that off
emissions
Facebook.
contributes to the global warming.
The science doesn't even know, according to Trump.
Yes, I think to an extent, yes, but I also think we have to do better management
Justin.
of our forests. Every
Really?
year, I get the call.
Justin says, "Notice they both look kind of alike."
If that was cleaned, if we had forest management, good.
Do you mean
forest
old?
management, you wouldn't be getting those calls. You
Bit
know,
out of
here I
touch.
live there,
One's
forest cities,
fatter
they're
and
both
orange,
forest cities.
and the other
One-
one's skinny and pale.
One is orange, definitely
I was
orange.
with the head of a major
I'm only
company.
jealous.
It's a forest city. He said, "Sir, we have trees that are
Justin.
far more, they ignite much easier."
I feel like I have to try and do it in his voice. It's going to be really difficult, but I'll try.
I'm getting along very well with the governor.
It will be
I
a.
said, "Yeah, at
I
some
can't do
point,
it.
You can never do it when you think
He's
about
right
it.
there as well.
Hundreds of thousands of acres.
It
of
will be
land
a
just
great
burned to the
app.
ground. That's burning down because of a
It would
lack
be a
of
great
land.
app. It will be the greatest app you have ever created. And he even put in my worst Trump voice. In my worst Trump voice. He knew I was going to do my worst Trump voice. How did he know that? Justin.
Going to create more pollution from cars.
Well, not really, because what's happening is the car is much less expensive and it's a much safer car. And you're talking about a tiny difference. And then what would happen, because of the cost of the car, you would have at least double and triple the number of cars purchased. We have the old slugs out there that are 10, 12 years old. If you did that, the car would be safer. It would be much
Ricky
cheaper,
sent me
by
the link.
$1,500.
What's that? Oh, yeah. Ricky sent me the link. I thought you were Owen over there. He sent me the link for the Fauci video
We're going to see how that turns out.
about what he said in 2017. We'll give that a look in a little bit.
So expensive because they have computers all over the place for an extra little bit of gasoline. And I'm okay with electric cars
I think
too.
Walt,
I'm all
Walt
for
who we
electric cars. I'm giving
had
big
on earlier
incentives
is
for
quite
electric
right.
cars. But what they've done
He
in
said
California is just
Walt.
crazy.
Is it Walt?
Walt.
Yeah,
You know I have a way of saying
your
things.
English accent is coming through now. Your Essex. It's Walt, not Walt.
Walt.
You talk about new limits on
Whoa.
You should come with subtitles.
I should come with
Ending
subtitles.
the use of fossil fuels to generate
Anyway,
electricity
he said,
by
I don't think either of them has done a great
zero
job.
emission of greenhouse gases by 2050.
I
The president
don't
says
disagree with
a
you.
lot of these
Don't
things
disagree with you.
would tank the economy and cost millions of jobs.
He's absolutely wrong, number one. Number two, if in fact, during our administration, the Recovery Act, I was in charge, able to bring down the cost of renewable energy to cheaper than or as cheap as coal and gas and oil. Nobody's going to build another
Why has he got a pen?
Coal-fired plant in America.
I don't
No
think
one's
he
gonna build
knows.
Another oil-fired plant in America.
It's like,
They're gonna
it's
move-
like
So how am I
comfort
supposed to
blanket.
know?
Have a
Number
pen.
two, we're going to make sure that we are able to
Number
take
two,
the
I have a
federal fleet
pen.
and turn it into a fleet that's run.
I have a
on
pineapple.
electric vehicles.
Pineapple
Making sure that we
pen.
do that, we're going to put 500,000
Oh,
charging
Ricky, right? That's not
stations
nice.
and all the
He's put,
highways
how do you
that we're gonna
subtitle
build
that?
in the future. We're going to build a economy that, in fact, is going to provide for the
Don't get on her side. No, I can't have both of you doing this. It's-
I'm Welsh. I'm Welsh.
Yeah.
And when we went on holiday to Greece,
Wait a minute,
they
you are
couldn't
not-
understand Ian. They had to speak to me, and English is my second language.
To create
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of
Find the
jobs.
gloch there.
We can get to net zero
I still remember that. I'll never forget that one. If anyone's wondering, that means what time is it?
Creating jobs.
She was getting ready for work, and she was screaming at me, "Find the gloch there, find the gloch there." And I was just like, just looking at her like, "What on earth are you on about?" She's rushing around, didn't even see me. Then looks at me like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realise. You don't speak Welsh, do you?" No, being that I'm English.
I was in a panic.
It's all falling
So,
apart.
He knows now.
Talk about someone that has
just
no relationship.
Justin's put on here. Wait a minute. You are not social distancing. Laugh, and he's laughing about it.
More carbon is absorbed in that range.
Oh, us?
than every bit of
Do you mean
carbon
us?
emitted in the
If you mean
United
us, sadly, we live together.
Yeah, I have to live with that. There's no need for us to social. I'd like to social distance from that.
Coming up with $20 billion. Say, here's $20 billion. Stop.
Oh, they're not social distancing because they're right next to
Oh,
me.
there. All four of us here, not really social distancing.
Economic consequences.
What about the argument that President Trump basically says that you have to balance environmental interests and economic interests?
Justin is
And he's
Scottish
drawn
by
his
descent.
line.
No way!
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know, someone has to be, I guess.
Methane's not a problem. You can now emit more methane without it being a problem. Methane. This is a guy who says that you don't have to have mileage standards for
Scottish.
automobiles that
Yeah.
exist now. This is a guy who says that the fact
What's
that-
this message from Justin? You are a effing.
Green New Deal, and it's not 2 billion or 20 billion, as you said.
Not yet.
It's $100 trillion.
I'm talking about.
Where they want to rip down buildings and rebuild the building. It's the
What kind of numbers are we talking about here when you start going 100 trillion?
Two-car systems around.
Is there any point even talking about it at that point?
Cows too. You know, that's not true either, right?
Infinite money.
This is a 100 trillion. That's more money
Infinity
than our
and
country
beyond.
can make.
Have you ever seen money?
If we-
Not this amount.
Let let me
destroy our
because I actually, wait a minute, sir. I actually have
Justin's going to bed.
And it includes
We'll see you again, Justin. I hope you enjoyed yourself
upgrading
watching this.
2 million hounds over 4 years.
He's Scottish
and
and
1.5
Native
million
American.
energy-efficient
It's quite a
homes.
mix.
So the question becomes,
Although there is a large Welsh.
I think some people who support the
I'm
president
Welsh
say
and
that
Welsh,
like it's gonna cost
with a
lot of
mixture
money
of
to the economy.
slight English, but mainly Welsh.
Yeah. Hey, Justin, I'm beating you. I'm beating all of you there. I've got what? English,
The fact is, it's gonna
Spanish,
create millions of
Portuguese,
good paying
Iranian,
jobs. And
Russian,
it's taxing
Belgian.
for people to weatherize, but she wants to get rid
I'm
of.
sure
You're
there's
like, you're
more.
like a lucky bag, aren't you?
Oh, a little-
to deal with the hurricane.
Potluck.
They got pick a mix.
I got all the best parts, didn't I? The big nose, the balding head, and a hairy body.
Fantastic. We are going to be in a position where we can create hard, good jobs by
Good night,
making
Justin.
sure the environment is clean and we all are in better shape. We spend billions of dollars now, on floods, hurricanes, rising seas. We're in real trouble. Look what's happened just in the Midwest with these storms that come through and wipe out entire sections and counties in Iowa. That didn't happen before. They're because of global warming. We make up 50%
I like Justin.
of the world's problem.
He's alright, I
In
guess,
fact,
for a Scot.
The rest of the world, we've got to get them to come along. That's why we have to get back into the Paris Accord.
All right, gentlemen,
Wait a minute, Chris. So why didn't he do it for 47 years? You were vice president. Why didn't you get the world? China sends up real dirt into the air. Russia does.
China.
India does. They all do. We're supposed to be good. And by the
All
way,
about
he made
China.
a couple of statements. The Green New Deal is $100 trillion.
That is not
$20 billion.
Should be a drinking game of China every
Yeah.
time you hear China.
He and his friends.
Is that what it is now? Every time we hear China. You haven't got much of your drink left anyway.
He called the military stupid bastards. And he said,
Ooh,
he said stupid bastards.
He's swearing.
I would never say that.
that is a naughty word.
Alright.
Vice President,
I love how he said he said they're stupid bastards. I would never say that word.
Which of all is ranting.
I'm learning all the no-no words tonight.
and about the economy and about this question of what it's going to cost.
The economy.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your environmental changes will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. You're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great.
Don't look at it.
But do you support the Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
I wasn't focusing.
No, I don't support the Green
Oh,
New
you
Deal.
don't? Oh, well, that's a big statement.
I support
You
the
just the radical left.
I support
Oh well, I've been waiting for that one.
that I put forward.
Okay.
The Biden plan, which is different than what he calls the radical Green New
Biden
Deal.
All right,
plan.
gentlemen,
Is he naming
final
plans
segment.
after himself?
Election integrity. As we meet tonight, millions of Americans are receiving
The Biden plan. You know that guy, Biden? You're Biden. Oh, my plan is.
that this will be a fair
I haven't got a
election.
plan.
What are you prepared to do over the next 5+ weeks? Because it'll not only be to election day, but also counting some ballots. mail-in
Election day
ballots
is
after
5
election
weeks.
day. What are you prepared to do
Is
to
it?
reassure the
So we get
American
another late
people
night?
that the next president
Whoa.
will be the legitimate winner of this election? In this final segment, Mr. Vice President, you go first.
Prepared to let people vote. They should go to iwillvote.com. Decide how they're going to vote, when they're going to vote, and what means by which they're going to vote. His own Homeland Security Director, and as well as the FBI Director, says there is no evidence at all that mail-in ballots are a source of being manipulated and cheating. They said that.
That's
The
not-
fact is
yeah.
that there are going to be millions of people because of COVID that are going to be voting by mail-in ballots, like he does, by the way. He sits behind the Resolute desk and sends his ballot to Florida, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that those people who want to vote in person are able to vote because enough poll watchers are there to make sure they can socially distance. The polls are open on time, and the polls stay open until the votes are counted.
Aren't they
And this is
mechanical,
all
their
about
polls, though?
trying to dissuade people from
Well, like,
voting
pull it
because
on.
he's trying to scare
It's not a
people.
bandit machine here.
It's not gonna be legitimate. Show
What
up
luck.
and vote.
You voted for Biden. Oh, I didn't want that one.
Vote,
No, because
vote,
The
vote.
Simpsons,
If you're
going back
able
to The
vote early in
Simpsons.
the state, vote early.
Where you learn all your information.
Well, I learn all my information because they can see into the future. Come on now, we know
That's
this.
true.
Because he cannot stop you.
There was an
from being able to
episode
determine the outcome of this election.
where
And in terms
Homer
of
kept
whether or
trying to
not when the
press
votes
a
are
certain
counted,
one,
they're all
but it kept
counted,
pressing a different
that will be
one.
accepted.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If I
Getting
win,
it now?
That will be accepted if I
And that
lose, it'll be
actually
accepted.
apparently
By the way,
happened.
Yeah.
if in fact
So are they
the
still doing it
Democrats are sure
electronically?
everybody's going to accept,
I don't.
let me tell you
'Cause
something, it
here,
doesn't matter, because if
we
get the
mark
votes,
them off.
it's going to be all over. He's going to
And we
go.
mark them
He
off in
can't stay in
pen.
power.
We make
You
sure we
don't
don't
have
take a
to.
pencil
You don't
because they
have
can't
to.
change it.
So vote. Just make sure you understand. You have it in your control to
We
determine
crisscross it.
what this country's going to look like the next 4 years. Is it going to change, or you get 4 more years of these lies?
President, 2 minutes.
So when I listened to Joe talking about a transition, there's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different people, there was no
Being
transition.
mean now,
They
innit?
Crooked
came after
Hillary.
me trying to do a coup. They came after me
Creepy
spying on my
Biden, as he calls
campaign.
him as well.
They started from the day I won and even before I won.
Well, at
From the
least
day
he
I
calls
came down the
Obama
escalator with our
Obamacare.
First Lady. They were a
Means he
disaster.
cares.
They were a disgrace to our country. And we've caught
That's the
them.
name of his
We've
like
caught them
NHS
all.
type
We've
thing.
got
I
them
know
all.
it is,
And
but
by
all he
the
keeps
way,
saying
you
is
gave the idea
Obamacare,
for Logan against
Obamacare.
General Flynn. You better
It's
take
funny
a
'cause
look
it
at
does
that,
make
because we caught you in a
everyone
sense,
think,
and
"Oh, Obama cares."
President Obama was
Exactly.
sitting in the office. He
No.
knew
He
about
said his
this,
name.
So don't tell me about a free transition.
Drink.
As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster. A solicited ballot, okay, solicited is okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back, you send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some with the name Trump, just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over the place. They sent 2 in a Democrat area. They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen. The other thing, it's nice on November 3rd, you're watching and you see who won the election. And I think we're going to do well because people are really happy with the job we've done. But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months because these ballots are going to be all over. Take a look at what happened in Manhattan. Take a look at what happened in New Jersey. Take a look at what happened in Virginia and other places. They're not losing 2%, 1%, which, by the way, is too much. An election could be won or lost with that. They're losing 30 and 40%. It's a fraud, and it's a shame.
Is that true?
And can you imagine where they say you have to have your ballot in by November 10th? November 10th. That means that's 7 days after the election, in theory, should have been announced.
Okay.
We have major states
Huh?
like that,
Sir?
all run by
2 minutes
Democrats.
is 2 minutes.
All run by
You're-
Democrats.
They have
It's
to be in by
all
November
rigged.
10th.
I-
And he's
you're
just said, in theory, that's after the.
Able to continue. You have been charging for months that mail-in balloting is going to be a disaster. You say
It's after
rigged,
the votes
that it's
and
going to lead
stuff.
to fraud. But in 2018, in the
That's
last
weird.
midterm election, 31 million people voted mail-in voting. That was a quarter, more than a quarter of all the voters that year cast their ballots by mail. Now that millions of mail-in ballots have gone out, what are you going to do about it? And are you counting on the Supreme Court, including a Justice Barrett, to settle any dispute?
Yeah, I think I'm counting on them to look at the ballots, definitely. I don't think, I hope we don't need them in terms of the election itself. But for the ballots, I think so. Because what's happening is incredible. I read today, where at least 1%
think he makes
of the
millions and
ballots
millions
for
and millions of
2016
dollars.
were
Suit isn't
invalidated.
the best, is it?
They take them, we don't like them, we don't like them.
Well, what are
They
you
throw
going to do
them out
about it?
left
If there
and
are
right.
millions of ballots going out,
What
How do you make a suit for a body like that,
You do
though?
a solicited ballot,
No,
and
no,
that's
I
okay,
know
or
your
you go and
complaint.
vote.
Can you imagine what his body looks like?
His suit looks very much like it was made in the 70s.
Like they used to.
Does it?
Millions of
You
people.
either do, Chris, a solicited ballot where you're sending it in, they're sending it back, and you're sending. They have mailmen with lots of it. Did you see what's going on? Take a look at West Virginia, mailmen selling the ballots. They're being sold. They're being dumped in rivers. This is a horrible thing for our country.
There is no.
This is not.
There is no.
This is
evidence
not
of
going.
Yeah, I was going to say, does he have evidence of
This
this?
is not going.
Vice President
Yes,
Biden,
he does.
in fact,
Because he said he does.
It's the I'm a sore loser.
decade or more, 5,
clause.
including 2 Republican states. And you don't have to solicit the ballot.
It's the I'm a
sent to
sore
you.
loser. I said
It's sent to
clause.
your
What I
home.
mean is
What we're saying
I'm a
is-
sore
we're
loser.
saying is there has to be a postmark
Loser.
You can tell it's 3:30 in the morning, can't you hear?
It's
It
bedtime.
really is late. 3:30 in the morning.
He's just afraid of counting the votes because
Yeah.
And you were up at
No, I want to
I'll tell you one thing. I think Biden's done, in one respect, he's
Okay,
actually
you're
done
doing a
better
Donald
than
Trump on me right now. I just asked you, and you were up at.
In fact, over the years with mail-in voting,
I was a what?
You were up at.
historically.
Oh, this morning?
It's been that
Yesterday morning.
numbers. Sometimes
What time was I up?
thousands of ballots
About
are thrown out
7?
because they have not been properly filled out.
9
or
o'clock
there
I
was some
got
other
up.
irregularity, or they missed the deadline. So the question I have is, are you concerned that the Supreme Court with a Justice Barrett will settle any dispute?
I'm concerned that any court would settle this, because here's the deal. When you get a ballot,
Don't lose it now, Joe.
you're supposed to have an affidavit. If you didn't know, you have someone say that this is me. You should be able to, if in fact you can verify that's you before the ballot is thrown out, that's sufficient to be able to count the ballot because someone made a mistake and not dotting the correct I. Who they voted for, testify.
Willing it. But you can finish that sentence.
That is totally legitimate.
All right.
Excuse me, when you have 80 million ballots, Senate is swamping the system. You know it can't be done. You know it can't, and already
All
there's
right.
been
So now,
Mail service delivers
gentlemen, the final question is.
See, I'd lose my rag. I never lose my rag.
8 states, election
But I would.
workers are prohibited.
With who?
Currently
Trump.
by law, 8 states.
With all of
from
them.
even beginning to process.
I'd do a Mean Girls. And go, you can't sit with us!
Until election
I'd
day.
get so cross.
Are you guys going to shut up while I actually answer?
Increase in mail-in balloting, that we are not going to know on election night who the winner is, that it could be days, it could be weeks,
could be months,
until we find out who the new president is. So first for you, sir, finally for the vice president.
Would that be a first?
Will interrupt the other. Will you urge
After the
your
actual
supporters to stay calm
election,
during
it could take
this
months
extended period, not to
before they
engage
find out who
in
the
any
president
civil
is.
unrest? And will you pledge tonight?
Has that ever happened
that you will
before?
not declare
No,
victory
I think they were
until
trying
the
to,
election
because
has
of the
been
whole
independently
COVID thing and
certified?
everything.
President Trump,
They were
you got
trying
one.
to delay.
to go into the polls.
He's saying
and
because
watch
of,
very carefully, because
legally
that's what has to happen.
Yeah, well,
counting the
this
votes.
one's all like, yeah, this
As
one's
you
all
know,
like,
today there was a big problem in Philadelphia. They went in to watch. They're called poll
They were
watchers, a very
thinking,
safe, very nice thing. They were
to
thrown
delay
out. They weren't allowed to
the
watch.
voting process
You
and
know
everything
why?
like that
Yeah.
because of
Bad
COVID
things
and because
happen in
people can't go to
Philadelphia.
places and all
Bad
this.
If he's in
and
office,
it could be
whoever-
rigged and everything.
whoever's in office
Okay,
is gonna
okay,
do that, though,
Donald,
isn't it?
calm down.
You will
I'm trying
listen
to
to
tell
me,
you
China.
something.
China.
I'm trying to tell you something.
But if I see tens of
And,
thousands of ballots being manipulated,
They were
I
saying
can't
that
go
no,
along
they're
with
not.
that.
They're not going to do that because I think the only time perhaps they'd actually changed or postponed it or whatever like that was during the Civil War.
They cheat. Hey,
Or they actually, it was either they did it during the Civil War or what I heard was they haven't even done it during the Civil War. So they're not going to do it during COVID. Something like that.
Will you urge your supporters to stay calm?
They weren't going to be able to do that.
I'm very sketchy with my info.
Not to declare victory until the election is independently certified.
Yes.
I'm blonde.
Here's the
Let's just say
deal.
that.
We count the ballots, as you pointed out. Some of these ballots in some states can't even be opened until election day. And if there's thousands of ballots, it's going to take time to do it. And by the way, our military, they've been voting by ballots since the end of the Civil War, in effect. And that's what's happened.
What time is it, human time?
Why is it for them somehow not
25 to
It's the
4.
same process. It's
It's all right for them.
No one has established
10 there.
at all that there is fraud related
Fine.
to mail-in ballots.
I'm fine.
That somehow it's a
So Ricky says, notice Trump keeps saying months. He doesn't plan on leaving. So that's probably what they mean there. He's not planning on leaving.
See? Ricky knows.
Unless he's legally voted out.
He's
But
actually, yeah, but the thing
but then
is,
it comes down to
no,
the
no, no, no,
courts.
no. He's actually said,
because
even
once
if he's
the
voted
winners
out,
declared after all
he's
the-
not
all the
leaving.
ballots are counted, all the
That's
votes are
what
counted.
he said.
That'll be the end of it.
If it
You
has to
can't
be-
make me leave, and I'm
But
just.
it's-
And I said to
In
you,
fact, fine.
we
If
saw
it's not
this
me,
together.
support the outcome. And I'll be a
Sponge
president
Eirian,
not
just
for
absorbing stuff.
Democrats. I'll be a president for
And I
Democrats
turned to you and I went,
And this guy,
exactly like this when they said it.
Yeah.
Just turned to you and went,
That's the end of it. This is the
how's that possible?
I guess it'll come down to the courts, doesn't it? And the rules. So what's the rules? If it's undecided or not official yet, does the president who's already sitting stay in office, or do you go to the new one? That's the rule. So if the rules are, if it's undecided, it's not official yet, and the sitting president stays, then that's it. He stays until it's sorted.
Does the FBI come in and drag him out, and he's like kicking and screaming, having a tantrum?
That's what they're talking about. There's no way it's gonna get to that.
We'll debate at 9 p.m. Eastern that night. We hope you watch. Until then, thank you and good night.
Oh my God, it's over. The bickering is finished. Oh, he's looking at him.
He doesn't want to look at him.
He doesn't want to look at him.
He really doesn't look at him. Has he got some sort of evil power, and he thinks like Medusa, if I look at him, I'll turn into stone or something?
You think if I look at him, I'll forget where I am?
There's his carer coming up. Oh no, sorry, that's Donald Trump's wife.
Is that his wife?
Yeah.
Well, welcome back
They look
to
so
Cleveland,
awkward together.
where we've just watched that first
She doesn't want to be with him.
debate between Donald Trump
Sorry.
and Joe Biden.
Forgot we were on camera.
For 90 minutes.
And Biden's wife comes up with a mask on
Aww.
to greet the person that she lives with.
Pandemic, the economy, race, and
Oh,
at the
look,
end,
she's like, she doesn't want to hold his hand, and they're just like, oh,
She's like, ew, I have to be near him.
that is
Ew.
bad. Donald, file for divorce, mate. She doesn't want to be with you.
This is not very social distancy.
It is. Camera makes it look like it
No,
isn't.
they're not. Not very social
Oh,
distancing.
they're not. They probably live together. Come on.
Everyone thinks, alright, the thing's over, we can do what we like again now.
Democrat strategist who served on the presidential campaigns of
Well,
Obama and Hillary Clinton, Kelly Sadler.
that is that. We, to be fair, we had quite a few comments coming in through that. I couldn't read them all because it would really disrupt what was going on. But
Because I was here.
yeah,
reality TV show The Apprentice. She wasn't hired by him on the show, but she did go on to work in the
yeah. What did you make of it? I don't know what to make of it myself, but what did you make of it?
It was like two children. Well, to be fair, Biden was.
What did you make of it? Yeah, Biden.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. Michael,
What happened?
Michael Starr-Hopkins, let's start with you.
I just want to let you know that I'm married and my name is actually Newman, surname. I don't want to ignore my husband like that. I think he called her something else. Her original name or something.
Don't make a big thing of it. Just say your actual name. Don't do a speech.
Okay, so I think Biden was just trying to get his points across, whether it be right, childish, whatever, stuttery, don't know what I'm saying. Donald Trump
just
was
wants
just
to
such
talk.
a bully.
He loved the sound of his own voice, didn't he?
He did. And like, he was going, here's your 2 minutes. He was like, right, so my thing. And then Biden gets a chance. Poor Biden literally gets a, so I'm against your policy of this. That's all he had to say. And then Donald's like, no, you're wrong. It's not right. No, what I've done. Oh, I sounded very British and posh.
No.
What I've done.
Yeah, I did. To be honest, my favourite part of the whole thing, though, was that bit where he went, Joe, and then the mediator's trying to interject into there. He's like, Joe, wait, I'm talking now. I'm running this shit.
I'm the fart running this thingy.
Essentially, yeah, mate.
Yeah, because Trump in the UK means fat.
The thing is, again, would you still rather have Boris Johnson or would you have one of them? As bad as it was.
I don't know.
I'm undecided. I tell you what, after that, let's get a quick call. Actually, we've got two people we're going
Is
to call.
anyone still awake?
Well, for them, it's all right because it's 10:30. So they can still relax in the evening and maybe have a drink and then go to bed or
10:30 is
something.
usually my bedtime.
Yeah, more 1 o'clock, but... Okay, so we've got back on. So are we going to argue over this? Is it Waltz?
Walt.
It is Walt.
Waltz, yeah, Waltz. I can't pronounce L's and things very well. When the last time when I was trying to say, what was it? Something about a wolf.
Oh, to my dad, you said the dog looked she looked like a wolf.
Yeah, I was trying to say this dog looked like a wolf to her dad,
Wolf.
and she turned. Her dad turned to her and said, "Why is he barking at me?"
Because it sounded like wolf.
I don't.
Well, I have been called a lot worse. So, however it comes out, I'm good.
I tried. I did try. What did you make of it?
Well, gosh.
There was a bit to unpack, wasn't there?
It is a lot to unpack. Trump was much more aggressive than I thought he was going to be. And I was trading texts with several of my friends from across the political spectrum. But I found actually a lot of conservatives not real happy with the way that Trump carried himself. The overly aggressive, strong personality, almost obnoxious way that he was at times. One of the commentators here on Fox News just said that he was like a bucking bronco through the whole thing.
The problem is when he's doing it against somebody who's actually quite mellow, quite placid, it doesn't have the same effect. If he's doing it against somebody that is quite similar and try and go toe-to-toe with him, it looks like he's dominated somebody that's on his level. But when you try and do it against somebody that is using a completely different tactic, you can come off as you're just bullying them, and when you should be listening or maybe just letting them have their say.
I agree, and I think that was one of the problems that I had. I think that some of the things that Biden supports would be so unpopular with middle America, with the farmers and the blue-collar workers, that I wish Trump had just let him talk. And let him explain some of those things and walk into a landmine. Instead, he just came out super aggressive. Now, I think one thing that it may do is it may give Biden the confidence that he believes that the next two debates, he'll be able to be strong and carry the day, and he won't bail out on it. And that has been one of the concerns, was that he was not going to come to the debate, find some way out of it. So I think that it opens the door for a wild, 6 weeks, 5 weeks? Until the election.
It's definitely opened up things a little bit for anyone that was possibly neutral. Definitely will have opened things up a little bit. I've had a comment on here as well from Anne, who credit to Anne because she lives in the UK as well, quite close to us, and for her to still be up at 3:30 in the morning, 3:45 watching this as well. Credit to you, Anne, because I'm finding this hard going. But she's put, well, overall, Biden was professional. He addressed the public. I agree. He did do that. I found it a bit cringeworthy at times, the way he addressed the public. It was a bit weird.
I was trying to find a nice way to say that. I think one of the things about Biden is that he doesn't always come across as real genuine.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
it.
When he addresses the audience like that, it's very condescending.
Yeah.
And so I think that was...
it was that thing, wasn't it? Me and Eirian said as well, she went, it's not about me, it's not about you. And then we look at the camera, it's about you. And it was like,
an advertisement.
You're not running an advert here. This is not what this is meant to be.
Right. It felt like a Valentine's commercial. Just sappy and what'd you say, cringeworthy?
Yeah, definitely cringy.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the big misses for Trump tonight was a horrible moment for him. When Joe Biden mentioned his son, who had been in combat and had come home and died of cancer. And he said, he's a decorated veteran and all that. Trump
he died of cancer as well.
He did. It was tragic. And it was why Biden didn't run last time. And that was a perfect opportunity for Trump to be gracious and to say, kudos to your son, kudos to your family. God bless our troops. Our troops are amazing. By the way, overwhelmingly, the troops support me. And what I'm doing. I mean, he could have turned that, but instead he went right at Bo.
Yeah.
He doubles down, doesn't he? And he's not tactile in any shape or form, which at times can work well for you. But in a situation like that, I didn't know that, and I can now understand how Biden reacted and the way he's supposed to. Because we said as well, didn't he? It was one of the very few times he actually looked Trump dead in the eye and had a go at him.
Yeah. Oh, did you notice that he very rarely looked at Trump?
Absolutely. He just wouldn't look at him.
Chris Wallace most of the time.
Yeah. It was almost like he didn't want his train of thought to be knocked. I know we ridiculed him, but it was like he's got this superpower, Trump. He's like, if I look at him too long, I'll forget where I am. But he did well. And that was the thing. Actually, that comes back to what you said about it didn't seem genuine when he addressed like the nation vis-a-vis through the camera. It didn't feel genuine. But the one time he felt genuine was when he stood, looked at Trump, and had a go at him for having a go at his dead son. Because it was personal. It was real, wasn't it?
That bit, I didn't know that bit, but I said to you at that bit, I went, "Oh, that's not right."
Yeah.
Just like
there's a lot of speculation that he would have won last time had he run, but it was right on the heels of his son dying. I mean, if I remember right, it was within 6 months of him needing to declare for the election.
I mean, that's understandable. But the thing is as well, does this not show in itself that if they were a bit more genuine politicians, people might be inclined to actually vote for them? Because the times that he was actually genuine, we felt it.
I agree. And I think that was where Trump lost big tonight. Now, at the end of the day, I think that basically what you're going to see is that the numbers probably aren't going to move a whole lot. I don't think you pulled any Trump supporters to the Biden side or vice versa, and I don't know that you convinced anybody in the middle. Maybe a little bit here and there, but I agree with you. I think that Biden came out maybe feeling, you may have a feeling of him being like your older uncle. Where Trump kind of came across as an angry old man chasing the kids off of his yard. And
definitely.
So I don't know whether this is going to make any big change, but I think it does open the door really for both campaigns to start their engines and get moving. And I think, if I'm reading this right, it's going to be a nasty race from here on in.
I mean, if this is what they're like on the first debate, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think the gloves are off here.
Yeah, I think so. And, a lot of times when you see a debate, Ronald Reagan and Mondale or some of the other debates in my lifetime, you at least get the sense that if they disagree with each other and they're competitive, at least there's a bit of respect between the two candidates. I don't get that feeling at all between those two.
Especially after, again, because I didn't know this before, but especially after when you factor in how personally Biden took that jibe at his son. There's no way that he could have any respect for him, really. He's not going to have it.
Well, and frankly, Biden's got a big problem because this is going to turn into a major criminal case, or it potentially could. There's actually what I understand to be the equivalent of a, I don't know what you would call it in the UK, but a grand jury.
Right.
That's looking into the whole Biden Ukrainian dealings there and looking to see if there's any criminal activity between the two of them.
Is that like what happened with Trump and Russia, essentially?
Well, yeah, but today, and they didn't really get into this, but Trump did. Trump mentioned this. Today, the Justice Department here in the U.S. released a letter stating that all of that Russia stuff was a bunch of nonsense, and that it was initiated by the Hillary Clinton campaign specifically to try to derail Trump's campaign.
Yeah.
And there was a 3-point letter that came out about 4 o'clock this afternoon. I got it by text to me from 3 other fellow private investigators and a bunch of other people kept sending it to me.
You're privy to a lot of information, I have to say this.
Well, I've got a lot of good friends who send me a lot of good stuff.
It does sound like it. I kind of like this circle of friends you got. I'm scared
You're
of
very
them.
jealous.
I'm scared of this circle of friends. But it's a very good circle of friends.
Well, the fun thing about it is I've got this circle of friends who are all news hounds from across the political spectrum, who anytime anything like this happens, they start sending us, like we all keep sending each other stuff and going through these things. So by the time we get to the debate, we all know what to look for.
Yeah.
we all kind of know the code word.
Eirian, while we're talking to this guy, I just want to check all our affairs are in order right now, right? Because God knows what he's searching right now.
Oh, no.
You're fine.
His friends in the background. IGAPodcast. Who is this guy?
It will turn up as very boring. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the fact that you're a podcaster, it makes you a nerd. You're fine.
Oh, thanks. I'm going to take that as a compliment. I'm going to take it.
You could not get a bigger compliment.
So where do we go from here? Because how long is it now to the next debate?
I think it's 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know where the next one is. I knew this one, of course, was Ohio, because Ohio is a big battleground state. What is going to be interesting to me is what happens tomorrow. My bet is that Trump is out in 3 different states, running around talking to people and shaking hands or whatever, social distancing, but out seeing people and standing in front of crowds. And it's going to be interesting to see what Joe Biden does. If he's got to lay up for a couple of days and recover, that's going to get highlighted, and people are going to be talking about that. And
Biden lays low for a couple of days after, because really you'd expect hit. Because I think on the balance of things, really, although he didn't do anything amazing, he probably came out slightly ahead on this, Biden.
I think so, and this is kind of what me and several of my friends were talking about earlier this week, that basically he's got to stand up there for 90 minutes and seem like he's awake. And he wins because they have lowered the bar so much for him and basically said, hey, look, this guy's going to get up there and pass out and wander off the stage.
Yeah. Shit his pants.
He's going to call everybody by the wrong name. He's going to do what people with mental deterioration do. I didn't think he was that sharp all the time, and he definitely got derailed a few times. And towards the end, I noticed his words were slurring.
Yeah, he did slow down a bit at the end, but if I'm honest, that would be more down to fatigue. Even I was sat there like, I'm getting tired now watching all that. Debating is a real mental drain. So don't get me wrong, there were a couple of times he stumbled over his words, maybe some figures, but I was saying to Adrian, how many times a day, like when I'm tired after a long day of work, I'll stumble over words all the time. Think of the kind of hours they pull doing what they do.
Oh, the best thing,
if you call it work, whatever they do.
The best thing you do, Ian, is you'll have an entire conversation in your own head and then ask me if I agree with it. And I have no idea what you're on about, and then you get annoyed at me because I don't know what you're on about, and then you realise you've had the entire conversation in your head.
Yeah, I'll come out with something that was like the end of the conversation. It's like, what do you think? And she's looking at me blankly. I'm like, well, what do you think?
Ian, I can understand why you and I are hitting it off so well.
Yeah.
I can really relate to this.
There are people in your circle right now going, I hope these two never meet.
They absolutely are. And I think the other one is my wife. Well, let me ask you this. Being from the UK, being outside the US, what do y'all feel about this? Like, what is your opinion of everything? How did you feel that things went?
I mean, for us, this is just entertainment, isn't it? I was saying anyway.
It is and it isn't.
Because we're not invested.
But still.
Well, you are in that we're allies.
Well, it doesn't necessarily. We're more.
See, this
I
is
think
where
we're
we're
scared
different.
of the US at the minute.
We're
scared of this relationship
because you're sort of saying the whole for entertainment, whatever.
Yeah.
But I've actually been following stuff and everything like that, so I wanted to see how it
You
panned
didn't tell
out.
me that.
I know. But I wanted to see how it panned out and everything like that, and like with the things that Donald Trump have been saying and stuff like that, and I thought, wow, how can he get away with this, or how can he do this and whatever. But it's just like, I have no idea. I literally have no idea who's gonna get it. Not a clue.
Well, that's the thing as well. So you're at the same time saying you have no idea who's going to get it. You're not saying, I hope this one gets it, because you're not fully invested.
But the thing is, no, exactly, I'm not fully invested. But with Biden, I'm thinking, well, he seems more
you saw
of a...
him as you.
He seems more as
sweet
a...
old granddad.
No,
and you,
no,
you're like, how can he beat him up like that?
As in, there was a bit of a, okay, he kind of cares about people a bit more.
I don't think so.
But, do you know what I mean?
Don't get me wrong, I'm not defending either one of them, but I don't get the feeling from either one of them that they care about the people.
You might be right, though. I might just be like, oh.
Because actually, Trump made a very good point about the previous laws that were being made. Biden was involved, and he hurt a lot of people.
Yep, he did.
And you can't stand there and say, Trump, you're a terrible person. You've done this, you've done that. And then you turn around and go, yeah, but you did this as well. And he went very quiet.
But like I said during the middle of it, is there a third option?
Yeah,
because I'm looking at him now, and he is a bully. He was a bully tonight.
But essentially, right, look at the two here, right? Look at it this way. Forget about... It's hard to forget about their personalities and certain things, but would you want, as a president, as much as, say for example, you hate both of them, do you want one that looks like he's a little bit of a pushover at times until you say something personal and then he goes off on one, or do you want somebody bolshy who's going to push ahead?
Yeah, and when you look at the debate going back and forth between who is our biggest nemesis, is it Russia or China? Well, I got news for you. Both of them are tough.
Yep.
Both of them are bad operatives. Both of them have very strong leaders.
And they're not.
Neither one of them is going to get pushed around.
They're not playing on the same level playing field.
No, they're not. And you have to have a strong personality in the White House who can handle them. And I think that if people look at it from that perspective, and we say, if we were on a Cold War footing, if we were still looking and staring down the Soviet Union, I think that Biden loses because he didn't come across as strong. And that was one of the comments I kept getting back over and over again. He's nice, he's trying to be gracious, but he's not strong.
Yeah.
And I certainly didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that is the thing, isn't it, really? So in the end as well, it is going to come down to you just... So what's your gut feeling, actually? Because that's what I was going to say. It kind of comes down to your gut feeling as opposed to whether you like or hate the particular person. What's your gut feeling as to what you would go for after either that debate or as you just feel right now?
My gut feeling is that a week from now, everybody will have forgotten about this debate, and it will be whatever the news of the day is. You've got the breaking news with the Hillary Clinton issue that could end up leading to indictments of people who were very high-ranking officials in the Obama administration. That could blow up. The Hunter Biden issue could blow up. And Trump, Trump's got skeletons in his closet as well. So you've got those things. My gut right now tells me that Trump will win.
Yeah.
And it will be close on the national level. But I think I have a feeling, my gut tells me right now that it's going to be a landslide in the Electoral College. I think he's going to win Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, which have all been mentioned as swing states. He's going to win Texas. I think he'll win Ohio. I think he'll be close in Pennsylvania, but my gut tells me he's going to eke it out. Wisconsin is a toss-up. Michigan, I think, is a bit of a toss-up, but I think he'll win Nevada. I think he'll win Arizona and New Mexico. And I think he's going to win the Electoral College. And I think that the night of the election will know. If Trump is the winner, the night of the election, we will know that. If not, it's going to be a dogfight.
It's not going to be pretty. I definitely, after watching this, I did have a feeling myself, because I was quite excited about it. I thought the anticipation, it was going to be great. But then at the very last moment before it started, I thought to myself, what if it's a little bit tentative and they're a little bit sort of just feeling each other out rather than going full on? But they went in.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some clear shots to each other there.
I mean, questions might have not even been asked because they were just arguing amongst each other.
The guy was trying to ask him a question. He's like, yeah, but I'm answering it. But I haven't even asked you the question.
And that was the first question.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. I loved that. I did enjoy the first sort of quarter of it the most. I think after that, it did start to get a bit tedious.
Just noise,
with the
wasn't it? Yeah.
We started talking over it in the end. That's kind of an indication as to where it was. They've got a timer. Now and then you would see it when the camera was behind the two candidates. You'd actually see the timers in front of them. At no point did I really know what was going on with those timers because nobody stuck to a single thing, which you expect to an extent, to some extent, but not to where they pushed it. It was getting ridiculous.
No, I'll give Biden credit. He tries to stick to it, and he tries it, but he gets pulled right in and starts going back and forth too. And I can't blame him. I mean, you're fighting for the most important job in the country, and you're trying to follow the rules, but the other guy isn't, and you got to fight back.
Yeah.
And so, no doubt it was interesting, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And I'm looking forward to the next couple of days and just see how the ratings were. You know, were people paying attention to it? I think is huge, and what the takeaways were from it. I'm sure CNN and the other more liberal-leaning networks declared Joe Biden the winner, and I'm sure Fox News and the other more right-wing will declare Trump the winner.
It'd be nice if the news stations would actually stay sort of central and maybe just point out certain key parts of it rather than go, oh, this one definitely won it, you know, and just go all in. Because I don't think there was an out-and-out winner. It was just Biden might have come ahead slightly just because of the clash of personalities. But I think when it comes down to it at the end of the day, people could still vote the other way. They might like Joe Biden more, but they might still vote the other way.
Yeah, and when you look at, you know, what Trump did with the economy, it's hard to argue that you know, he did a great job until COVID hit. And that was just devastating. It wouldn't matter who was president at that point. The economy was going to get completely upended. I'm just thankful it was as strong as it was. A lot of people had money in savings and things like that, but man, that was brutal. And you know, I have a hard time second guessing anybody on the decisions that were made.
True.
Because of the information that they had, but I think that if you look at it, the last poll I saw was a Fox News poll last week or the week before that said that people pretty overwhelmingly trust Trump on the economy, but they trusted Biden on domestic issues. So,
well, maybe you should get both of them in office and assign them to certain things.
Oh my gosh, you have to lock them in two different rooms.
Do you know what it'd be? It'd be like reminiscent of Rome when it was split into East and West.
Yeah, it would. Or the Road Warrior, one or the other. Just absolute mayhem.
Yeah.
But yes, I think you're right. I think, but we're not going to let anybody play to their strengths here, I don't think.
I've got a little bit of advice for America. Go for the triumphant. Or triumphant, rather, if that's how you prefer it. Get 3 of them involved. Make sure they have their skill sets in different areas, and no one of them can actually overrule the other because they need the popular vote between them. It has to be 2 votes to 1, and that's how it works. That way you don't have one of them just overruling the other. Just make sure there's no murder in between them. Because
murder might be the problem.
Yeah, that is how it can end up.
Yes, it can.
But Walt, it's been absolutely lovely having you on. We've really enjoyed this. It was.
Yeah. Hey, thanks again for having me.
And do you want to give your podcast a shout out again?
Yeah, I appreciate that. We're the Wilder Ride. If you are a fan of Gene Wilder and all of his great movies, that is us. And one of the easy ways to find us is on Facebook. We actually have a listeners group on there. So if you go to facebook.com/The Wilder Ride, hit follow there and then join our listeners group. You can get all the information about our podcast there.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you reaching out. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on.
And we'll speak to you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Oh.
We sat here smiling.
I know. I enjoyed having him on, but it is now, what time are we on? Just past 4 o'clock in the morning.
Who needs sleep?
Should we just power through, see if we make this? No, we're not doing another 4 hour tonight. We're going to end it there.
You're actually saying,
yeah.
Let's do another 4 hours.
Yeah. Oh, God, no, not right now. We've got more podcasts coming up in the future. This is only, episode 6?
Yes.
But your first episode, actually being on it.
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
Did you enjoy knowing that the camera is actually facing you the whole time?
I kept forgetting the camera was there until Joe Biden kept reminding me.
Yeah. Just stare at you and then you go, oh no.
Oh no, I'm on camera.
Because normally you're behind the camera just going, scroll,
big sign, scribble, points, and going, he's not saying anything about it.
Yeah.
That's my job.
Well, thank you for everybody who was watching. If you were watching tonight, I know it was a very late one. Anne as well, because
Go to
she was
bed.
watching. And Kieran as well. Have a look on the podcast. I'm going to post the link for Kieran and his gaming page.
It's addictive.
It is really
It's
addictive.
very addictive.
Very addictive. And we'll be out with another podcast soon. We've actually got 2 lined up coming up very soon. And we will see you then. That was a lovely sign-off. I enjoyed that one.
Mm.
See you then.